Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Rochland Podcast. I'm your host, Rochland Perkins, and today we have a great show. Sorry, there we go. All right, let me reset the camera. There we go. We all set. We're ready to go. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Rochland Bronze Reaper Podcast. I'm your host, Rochland Perkins. How's everyone doing today? I hope everyone's doing great. We got a great show, mostly a reaction video to Tariq Nasheed's interview with DJ Academics 2 years ago. So this will be good. I was actually excited to see this one, and I can't wait to actually show this and break this down. It's 2 hours, so we'll try to cut it down less, but let's get busy.
I'm in the fancy Spotify LA studio, and when I was writing down of the people I would love to speak to when I came to LA, you were at the top of my list. If you don't know who I'm sitting with, this is someone who is I would say, decorated filmmaker, someone who is a voice of the community, someone who is, I feel like there's just so many different ways I could describe you, but I just call you someone who's just a great person. You know, I love hearing you speak, whether I agree or not. And even when I wanted to sit down with you, I'm like, this is gonna be good because I want to get to some common ground with you,
Right, right,
right?
right,
And
right.
and I value your voice a lot. So,
Hmm.
my guest today is Tariq Nasheed.
Hmm.
Um,
My pleasure to be here.
no, I appreciate you,
No doubt.
and also the timing of this is great too, because I just released an episode, what some people might call controversial, and I really wish you were there for that one.
Is that the one with Candace Owens?
Yes,
I saw a clip of it.
I wanted you there.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
wanted you
yeah,
there
yeah. I
because
saw that.
there's
Yeah.
another clip.
Okay.
And by the way, like maybe we even skipped it because I want you to kind of react to some of you know, uh, like even some of her ideology.
Hmm.
And the reason why I wanted you there is that I'm someone who has a platform where I don't believe necessarily in silencing people, but I believe in balance.
Right, right,
Right. So it's not I'm not gonna be the person, but I'm just gonna talk to the people who agree with me.
right.
Like I like people challenging me and I like people schooling me, putting
Right,
me on
right.
game. Like, that's the point. And of course we started originally as a music podcast, but through music, a lot of times, as you normally say, like you gotta give game to people.
Right.
So that's why I felt it was important to not only have you on, but I'm trying to be the person who could, you know, give the platform and try to give a rebuttal if someone might feel different.
Right.
So I wish you would.
So he's giving. I'm gonna say this. He's giving Tariq Nasheed his flowers, and that's a super dope thing coming from a person who's. I don't believe in free thinkers, but saying that he's a free thinker and who brought up his own platform by himself. So salute to academics for that. I actually like what's going on, and how he's doing this thing. You could tell this is an old interview because motherfucker got the Gerber baby face. Now you look at him; he's getting a little bit older. You could see a little bit of wisdom coming out, but with wisdom also still comes, stupidity. Everybody has some type of stupidity to them. Even me, I can even say that. You know, I'm a sucker for certain things. So, salute to Act.
You were there because she's a lot. She's gonna hold with her shit.
Right. Right.
But one thing I've listened to you.
Hmm.
You're sharp with your shit.
Hmm.
Sharp with your shit. Like, you know what I mean? I've seen a lot of times when some shit happens and I see you on Twitter, but I love to, like, you have the live streams. I'm like,
Right.
and you break it out. I'm like, that's an interesting way to think
Yeah,
about it.
and I heard.
Oh yeah. Also, before we start, like and subscribe, and also start, get your comment on, violate the comment section or the live section. And if something pops up, I'll answer the questions, no doubt about that. But also too, send in some cash app as well to help certain projects and platforms that we are creating, such as the 5 series short film that we have. 45. Every short film is gonna be 45 to an hour. hour long. So definitely support it. You know, whatever you can send help. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, use a broke nigga. No, my nigga, anything that can help. So I don't have to, pay for it myself, and the process can move faster. So salute to y'all who do the Cash App for me.
Heard a little clip, and Candace took a little shot at me. She said I was a despicable person or something like that. The narrative that I heard was basically how black immigrants come over and do so much better than foundational black Americans.
And that's such a great conversation. I wanted to another reason.
Yeah.
So I am a black. I don't know. Well, I was born in Jamaica. I came here.
You're an immigrant.
Yeah, and by the way, I've gotten also some people who, I said this one time. I said, I don't know why I think this, and this is why you're here to help me understand too.
Right.
Like for whatever reason, I kind of feel like there was a little bit more of a battery in my back to like work harder, and I didn't say that or think that to like be demeaning, but maybe it is. So that's why I have you here, and I'm just willing to have that conversation. So first and foremost with the Candace Owens thing, I just want you to just respond to anything you've seen or
yeah. So with the Candace Owens, she's always spewed this narrative that she's Caribbean. She's always talking about bragging about being from, I think, St. Thomas, something like that. And I've been to St. Thomas, and it's just like being in the 1800s. It's completely backwards, and no disrespect to the people of St. Thomas, but it's really.
This nigga is so bad. Yo, King Flex is crazy. He said, "Yo, her country's like being the 1800s." Yo, this thing's already.
She's always talking about bragging about being from, I think, St. Thomas, something like that. And I've been to St. Thomas, and it's just like being in the 1800s. It's completely backwards, and no disrespect to the people of St. Thomas, but it's really not up to date, and they don't really have it popping there, unfortunately. But Candace Owens does a bunch of talking points. So a lot of stuff she says is not even in good faith. So a lot of times we don't have to go back and forth with Candace Owens because she's so easily debunked. She's just spewing talking points passed down by right-wing white supremacist think tanks. They give her these anti-black talking points so that she can be a cover for the white supremacists to hide behind. So instead of a white supremacist saying the nonsense she says, they have her do it and just co-sign her. So that's a cottage industry.
How does she get there?
There's a cottage industry for that. Okay, let's be very clear. The white supremacists, they've always created these little industries where they will pay black people to spew vitriol against other black people. They've been doing that since slavery. And they get people, usually they get a lot of people from immigrant backgrounds because they understand that a lot of immigrants don't see themselves as a foundational black American or that they have a lineage or camaraderie with us. So it's easier for them to get an immigrant to do that.
Could you explain? So the term, and I think you coined this term. I hope you like trademarked it, foundational Black American. Explain what it means, and also.
I'm gonna explain this one part right here. The shit that he said about Candace Owens, and I'm sorry I had to stop it. It's like, yo, there are groups like this, like where these white supremacies pay like certain black people off for their talking points, and like, yo. These motherfuckers are, and I'm gonna explain because I knew a kid like this. They like these white supremacies start off early. Like when I'm talking about in high school, when these motherfuckers is probably juniors, while they're basically trying to figure out what am I gonna do in my life. There's a certain class of people, and it might sound like it's a conspiracy, but it's a real thing. They try to take y'all when y'all in high school and junior, where like if you're a great athlete, a great student, they trying to mold you into like I want to say not a shell, but we could say a shell. The Democrats and the Republicans do that, and certain other people do stuff like this. The industry does it. Like you'd be surprised how many people like they mold these kids off of at high school. So Candace Owens. She wasn't mold after high school. She was mold in college. Because don't forget, she got, back in the days, she caught a racial discrimination charge. I mean, she was suing, I forgot who she was suing for a racial discrimination charge. And she got like $30,000 for it, and the NAACP helped her. Like, none of these Republicans helped out. Like, they got pictures and everything of her, so... It's crazy. That's why everybody say, "Yo, the bitch is a bed wench." She's bad for the community. She don't give a fuck about the community.
explain the psychology and like maybe the mindset of that individual, because at the end of the day, still we are like, we do share a skin complexion, but sometimes if there's different mentalities or different perspectives or ideologies, and I think that's where you have kind of pointed out, like, well, we have to be very, very careful in identifying what our goals are, and
Mhm.
if there's others that don't really coincide with that. And you came up with this term, so I want to give you the floor. Like,
Right. Foundational Black American, that is a person, a Black person who's a non-immigrant, basically,
mm,
a person who descended from slaves in America. The first time I heard that type of ideology was from one of my mentors, Dr. Claude Anderson.
okay,
He would often use the
familiar.
term Native Black American.
Yeah.
Then there was a brother named Norris Sheldon who had coined the term descendants of American slaves. So we kind of meshed those terms together and we ended up using the term foundational Black American, meaning the people who built this country from scratch. That's us. We descended from slaves. We're non-immigrants and we have a very specific lineage to this country. There's no disrespect to anybody, but it's just us acknowledging our lineage, because we had to acknowledge this lineage, because when we talk about reparations, who's going to get the reparations? It has to go to foundational Black Americans, the people
That's
who built the
interesting.
country.
That's interesting. You said two things that's very important there. And by
Yes.
the way, I've heard you say, and by the way, I don't think, again, I'm an immigrant,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think even necessarily when you say this is like an attack on me.
Right.
I think you're being specific to say, hey, listen, which I think a lot of things are non-specific, where they'll say minorities and then they lump in other people, which
Right.
kind of diverts from sometimes an intended
And that's
purpose.
been the problem, because we, for so long, we've let people throw a label on us and we just include everybody in the label. They say Negro, okay, all Negroes. We're Pan-African. We want to help everybody.
So like when you hear my podcast and stuff like that, this is some of the stuff I break down. It's like we gotta stop calling ourselves all black and stuff like that. This is why the foundational Black Americans came in. Black Americans, anybody can be black. Like everybody's Black American that has fair skin from the Caribbean islands like that. That's the only thing that connects us from us. But what separates us from each other is Caribbean, African, foundational Black American. It's just another way to to say, okay, this is our subculture. Our culture is Black America, but we have subcultures like Caribbean culture, foundational Black American culture, African culture, Afro-Latina culture, Afro-Mexican culture. We have different Afro-Canadian culture. It's like we have so many subcultures. Yeah, we are black culturally, black or Black American culturally, but what separates us is our subcultures. That means our lineage, so.
Marcus Garvey came over. We made Marcus Garvey a thing over here. We gave Marcus Garvey international clout.
Oh, shit. My fault, everyone.
Everybody. When Marcus Garvey came over, we made Marcus Garvey a thing over here. We gave Marcus Garvey international clout. When other people come over, we embrace.
Salute. If FBAs can't separate Caribbeans and Africans, why can't Tariq separate Jews? Jewish is being Jewish is a religion. Jewish is a religion. In the Bible, being Hebrew is a lineage. But Jewish is a religion. The Jewish turned that lineage into a religion like Judaism. That's why they say Judaism. I'm Hebrew. I consider myself Hebrew culturally, but I understand foundational Black American. I feel like, foundational Black Americans should fight for their reparations. And you know what? Kwame, I got another topic coming up at like 5:30 today, like 3:30 later on. You're going to like it. But I feel like, you know what? Yeah, we understand that there's Jewish people, but at the end of the day, they're still under that same white supremacy umbrella, Is a lineage like... No. I said FBA is a subculture. It's like a subculture. Like culturally, we're all black. But subculturally, we have different lineage, and that's why I say it's a subculture. If I'm probably saying it wrong, so you're probably getting a different way of thinking about what I'm saying, but I'm just saying like, we are still under the Black American umbrella, but at the end of the day, there's stuff that makes us different. Our lineage makes us different. So that's always a super dope thing is that, yeah, you got your Jamaican culture, you got your Haitian culture, but foundational Black Americans has our own culture, but it's just our culture is so universal, everybody wants a hand of it, you know? Like everybody contribute to it, but at the end of the day, it's still, we invented it. We created it. We are the forefathers of it. But everybody had a hand in it as well, you know? Well, yeah, because they're from Jamaica and the others is from Africa, you know? But they're still black. That's what he's trying to say. Y'all are still black, but at the end of the day, we gotta get from under the same umbrella because at the end of the day, it's not working for us. You know, like yeah, we know, yeah, we're all black, but at the end of the day, we're saying we're foundational Black American. This is what makes us different. You know.
Face them. In fact, when immigrant groups came over here, it was us fighting for immigrant groups. Even in the early 1900s, around 1915, it was black people fighting for immigrants to come over here from the Caribbean because the white supremacists had all types of rules and statutes that they didn't want black people coming over here.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Marcus Garvey, it was Booker T. Washington to help get Marcus Garvey to come over here.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of folks don't know that. In the 1960s, it was foundational Black Americans using the momentum from the civil rights movement fighting to get immigrants over here from Africa and the Caribbean because we wanted them to come over to be reinforcements for us.
Those Jewish people that are there, they migrated to Israel. Israel wasn't even a state in like for like 2,000 years, probably longer than that, over 5,000 years. And it wasn't even called Israel; it was called Jerusalem. Israel is just the name of is it's the name of a tribe, 12 tribe of Israel, because that was Jacob. It was basically was it Abraham's son Jacob that changed his name to Israel when he became an Israelite. This is why everybody are Israel. This is why certain black Latinos, Native Americans are Israelites because they come from that tree, but they're all different. Issachar, Benjamin, Levi, Issachar. Those are still under the Israel tribe. I mean, still under that Israel tree, but it's just different tribes. We are all different tribes. Foundational Black Americans is a different tribe. Jamaicans is a different tribe. You know, Africa is a continent, but it has different tribes there. They're not all the same in Africa. Jerusalem is not a country. Not a country. Well, not no more, but that was the country where everybody from Jerusalem came from. It wasn't called Israel. It was called Jerusalem. Israel was a tribe. 12 tribe of Israel. Yeah. It was called Jerusalem first. Yeah.
Us.
But don't talk to me about that. Talk to Captain Tazaria. He knows more about that than I do.
You see,
That's such a great point. And by the way, like even at the point of like to the point of reparations, right?
yes,
I would say, maybe you do have a point because, me being an immigrant, I don't really have I don't feel like I have a stake in that reparations argument.
right.
I don't feel entitled to reparations.
Right.
Now, if it was something that dealt with, slavery in Jamaica and what the Queen imposed, because there's still a presence there.
Right, and they have CARICOM in the Caribbean. In
Yeah, yeah.
Jamaica, they
Yep.
include all of the Caribbean nations. We're not included, and we're cool with that.
Mhm.
But what's interesting, one of the heads of CARICOM,
See?
even though they don't include us in the reparations claim there, she said they should get reparations from the U.S. when we get our reparations because,
Really?
yeah, the U.S. is a part of the Caribbean and the Americas are all the same. So it's a very weird dynamic, this weird sense of entitlement where people feel like they should get what we get, but we can't get what they get, and that's been kind of a problem with a lot of
Yep.
these diaspora conversations. There's this one-sided pan-Africanism where everybody kind of gets stuff from us. We have to fight for everybody, but when we try to be a part of the other people's culture, we're not let in. we can't get citizenship, dual citizenship in large numbers in the Caribbean or Africa. They don't let us in CARICOM. They don't let us in the African Union. So we're like, why are we doing this one-sided relationship where we're doing all the heavy lifting and nobody else is reaching out trying to create this Pan-African vibe? So we're looking at our lineage now like, hey, let's just build our own thing up right now before we suffer.
Yeah, no, and I completely understand. I think some may misinterpret that, and I've spoke to other people who, maybe share the same background as me, and I don't, I don't find it like offensive when you, it's kind of like, let's be specific of the people who are really affected by certain things in the Black community.
Right.
I don't find it offensive, but some people do.
Yeah.
Some people do feel like you're kind of sectioning off, or that might be, fighting against the overall narrative. And what do you say to those people? Because they might be like,
what's the overall narrative?
Well, they might be like, well, we're all in this together,
Well, people are all in this together as long as they're getting what we're getting. If we're doing something positive as foundational Black Americans, everybody wants credit for it, and we give everybody credit for it. Like, yeah, if you want to
Hold on. Hold on. He's not saying that there's a difference. He's saying that, like, yo, we can't take them from the same. We can't take them. We can't say it's different, and they're still doing white supremacy towards us. So it just doesn't make sense. He's saying, yeah, let me tell you something. I don't agree with Myron, but just call. But you can't. So. There are Jewish people that are white supremacists. Most of them, well, there was a big business part of the Jewish people that funded the slave trade. He's not saying that shit didn't exist. He said that on record that they sponsored and funded the slave trade. He's trying to tell you that you cannot remove them from. You can't say that they're different and they both using the white supremacy. Just like Hispanics, they do white supremacy. Some of their ideology is white supremacy. So why are we trying to separate? Why are we trying to separate the devil from another devil? They're both devils. We all gotta treat them the same way.
You want to get credit for our music? That's fine. That's why we see a lot of people talking about Jamaicans created hip hop, which is not true.
That works on reparations for Black. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We have nobody. Excuse me, working on reparation for Blacks here. That HR 40 is bullshit. It's just some wolf tickets. I'm gonna be personally honest, and that's why I said I hope Ayanna Presley gets the fuck out of Massachusetts politics. I'm just gonna be personally honest. I never hear talk about Jews in the slave. Yeah, of course they're gonna take this shit out. Why would they talk about that? Why would they talk about that? The greatest devil is the devil you never see.
No, we did.
How so? Oh, let's get into this. How you create hip hop?
Well, they might be like, well, we're all in this together.
Well, people are all in this together as long as they're getting what we're getting. If we're doing something positive as foundational Black Americans, everybody wants credit for it, and we give everybody credit for it. Like, yeah, if you want to get credit for our music, that's fine. That's why we see a lot of people talking about Jamaicans created hip hop, which is not true.
No, we did.
How so? Oh, let's get into this. How you create hip hop?
Well, okay.
Come on, let's get into this. Let's get into this. How you create hip hop, man?
Well, I didn't create hip hop.
No, how did Jamaicans create hip hop?
But I'm gonna. I heard it was because of Jamaicans. I'm just here telling you the narrative I've heard.
We're gonna clear that up.
The narrative.
This sounds like you, Kwame.
Because the Jamaicans that inspired Kool Herc to go to the Bronx, do whatever. That's what I've heard. And by the way, for my people from the islands, I'm trying to be our representative, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here
yeah.
to be a buffer. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here to
yeah.
be a
We're
buffer.
gonna clear these
I'm gonna,
lies up, though.
no, hold up. I'm gonna get somebody in the next room to Google the joint. So you're trying to don't take it from us, Jamaicans.
No,
Now, come on.
y'all didn't create hip hop. I'm sorry, brother. There were rap records in the 1960s. Pigmeat Markham had a couple of records.
What was the first hip hop record?
Well, the first technical hip hop record is a cross between King Tim III and Rapper's Delight. The first technical hip hop record doing what they were doing at the parties in the Bronx. A record, but rap records existed going back to the 1920s where people were rapping on beat. Foundational Black Americans, we've been doing that. Gospel troops rapping over the beat. Even the word rap, that's something that Foundational Black Americans were doing in the 60s. The word, the term, even hip hop, that was kind of a term that we were
How did the
using.
narrative get mixed up there?
It got mixed up because of writers talking about Kool Herc. Kool Herc's parties got popular. And because Kool Herc's parties got popular, they tried to attribute, well, he created hip hop, which he didn't. He just got a lot of stuff that people were already doing and kind of put it together in one place. And what made Herc's parties popular, because Herc wasn't a mixer or a scratcher.
That's what makes DJ Herc, Kool Herc popular. It was because that everybody else was doing, he put everything together, just about everything together. So that's why I said I don't know where it is. Oh yeah, Jamaicans created it. Like niggas was already doing that shit down south. Exactly. Not the scratching, but the scratching came later on. But the dancing, the way how niggas was dressing, like yo, niggas was already fly. Niggas was already wearing suits. All this, oh yeah, the Italians was the reason why niggas was fly. No, niggas been fly since suit time. So we're not gonna give the Italians that shit. Y'all niggas came over here not even fly. Y'all niggas came over here with diseases. So I'm not trying to be hurtful or anything, but them niggas came over here with diseases just like the Irish did.
Break beats, which other DJs played break beats too, and there were other DJs before Herc, like Disco King Mario, who's Foundational Black American, and again, they were using funk breaks by James Brown. Modern graffiti came out of Philadelphia by a dude named Cornbread early back in the 60s. So all the elements of hip hop was there. The thing about Herc would do something that a lot of DJs didn't do. What he would do was soak the records, so you wouldn't see what the records were. So people heard these funky records and these breaks, and they wanted to hear him again. And in order to hear him again, you had to go to Herc's parties because he didn't let nobody know what the.
Kwame, that doesn't make sense to what we're talking about, man. I get the metaphor you're trying to say, but that doesn't make sense. You're just giving a false narrative.
Records were that gave Herc an edge. That's pretty much it. But all the hip hop elements were already there.
I feel like but do you at least admit that there's some commonality or synergy between, like, you know, even some of the culture that existed in the Caribbean, that I don't want to say necessarily inspired, but crossed over, whether it was from an exchange of immigrants or anything like that?
No, because Kool Herc couldn't play Caribbean music at his jams. He's admitted that. He said, I tried to play reggae music, the crowds didn't like it. It was nothing about Caribbean music that influenced hip hop here. Absolutely nothing. And that's been a myth that's been perpetuated for years, and nobody wants to clear it up. We have to clear that stuff up. And we ain't trying to take anything away, but we won't let people take away from us as Foundational Black Americans. Hip hop is a 100% Foundational Black American creation because hip hop was born out of the funk movement that was around at the same time.
The funk, the blues, even some punk music, heavy metal music. All this shit was formed through blues, man. Blues was formed through funk. You know, so that's why I always had a problem. This is why I liked it. This is probably one of my favorite, and I had to do a reaction video to this because this is one of my favorite interviews by Akademiks. I liked a few I'm not a big fan of Akademiks, but this is one of my favorites. Just out of everything interviews I've ever seen, this is one of my favorite. You know, because at the end of the day, this is where we start to figure out who was Akademiks, who was Tariq Nasheed, what is he trying to do with this reparation? What is he trying to do with the black community? Like, he been saying all this shit for years. Is it Tariq's not even from New York, trying to tell eyes? But the hip hop wasn't really created in New York. hip hop was created down south, and then just everybody moved up to New York. Like spray painting, graffiti, that was in Philly. You know, niggas dancing, that shit was down south. James Brown. Clothes, fashion, niggas always been fly. We could probably even say that shit was from Harlem. But there was only black people in Harlem at that time in the 1930s and all that other time. There was, like I said, there was very few Caribbeans and Africans in America in the early 1900s. So niggas always been fly. We can't keep on trying to take credit. And like, yo, don't get it wrong. New York has evolved hip hop. You know, that we could even say, you know what? They brought all the elements together. New York brought all the elements together from the South and everywhere else. The South, Philly, but they were all foundational black Americans because y'all niggas wasn't fucking with black Americans back in those days. Like, let's personally, like I said, I talk about this a lot. We can't keep online talk about, oh yeah, the Caribbeans was fucking with black people. That's a fucking lie. The Latinos was fucking around with black people, but they were running around with fucking SWAT stickers and fucking Nazi flags, talking about their Germans. So we can't keep on doing that. I didn't say hip hop didn't start. I said the elements did not come from New York. It came from the South. Hip hop started in New York, yes, we can say that, but it wasn't created in New York. Y'all trying to claim shit that was already created. It's just y'all just brought all the elements together. That's all.
Even b-boying comes from the funk music. You can't b-boy from Jamaican music. The rhythms of funk music, you have to start the beat on the one. And when people pop lock, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's funk all the way. Everything about it comes from foundational Black American funk, and then that turned into FBA hip hop.
Damn, this nigga's on his shit, man. Fuck. Hey, okay. Well. So let me reiterate a statement that I've said, and I said it with Candace Owens, and I feel like you're the perfect person to react to this and tell me if I've gone wrong in saying this.
All right.
And I felt like I've heard some of the narrative that you've said about this. I've just said, and I definitely didn't mean any disrespect, but I said when I came to this country, right? Which you know, I'm still very happy that I came to this country. Right. But I'm from Jamaica. But when I came here, one of the things that I felt helped me propel is that, you know, I came with zero expectations and I was just kind of like, let me just put the work in and let's do it. A lot of friends that I had that were, you know, you might consider like, you know, foundational Black Americans. Sometimes I saw what would get in their way is, you know, sometimes it's like the mentality of, you know, being oppressed or these other things that were just kind of pretty much indoctrination. And I looked at it and I said, maybe just because I didn't come like, because I came from a different place, even though Jamaica went through its history of having, you know, being oppressed as well. But just coming over here, because I feel like sometimes excuses have held back Black Americans. And
it has helped Black Americans?
No, held back
Black Americans.
Right.
Okay.
And I felt like
held back how?
I would say the difference between me and someone who's a foundational Black American who would try to do what I'm doing, or say we're both trying to just be a doctor, is that I just felt like I just had to work the hardest I can. I just couldn't have any excuses. And despite obstacles, like whether I ran into racism, whether I ran into like other things that just came with being Black, which is absolutely a fact.
Okay.
I just had to overcome.
See, that goes into a narrative, and I heard Candace say this, which is not true, that Caribbeans and Africans come over here and do better than foundational Black Americans.
That's true.
That's not true. That's not true. What do you do? What or have you done that foundational Black Americans have not done?
This is what I've been saying. I was like, yo, foreign people, they haven't done anything that Black people hasn't done. We did the hip hop shit. We already done that shit. We created and invented fucking hospital things. Surgery. We completed certain surgeries, heart surgery. Was it the heart, open heart surgery? We created that shit. Like just certain shit. Like yo, we created that's about we succeeded everything in America. So when you see all these people, and it's a small percentage of people from other country are actually succeeded, you know. But you can't just look at the small people that are succeeding and say, "Oh, yo, look at all of us is doing." Then you got all these other motherfuckers, gypsy cabin, collecting cans, and fucking, selling pussy. You know, we can't keep on doing that. You got that small percentage of people who became a doctor, maybe a fucking attorney, and we say, "Oh yeah, see, we're all doing this." No, not all of y'all niggas is doing that. You know.
Well, I wouldn't consider it, like, in particular to like my career, right? Because obviously there's a lot of people who are
anything.
Okay, no, well,
anything.
I'll talk about
what has a Caribbean or an African done here in America that we hadn't done 100 years ago?
I'll talk about school.
Okay,
right?
let's go.
When I get to high school or I get to college, when you look around and you see the black people who end up being engineers, a lot of them are like Nigerian Americans, you know what I mean? Like they're immigrants, and I take away from that, their parents are instilling something in them, like just like it's like we know, like Indian parents are saying, "Yo, listen, you're not gonna go for no fucking arts. You're going for literally math or science." That's the thing. Come on, you gotta admit that.
Sir, foundational Black Americans, we built schools like Tuskegee. We built HBCUs and other independent schools 100 years ago, man. We've done the education thing. We've mastered that. We showed the world how to do the education thing, man. We got Booker T.
We're not taking away from pioneers.
Yeah.
We're not saying you're a pioneer. No, hold on. Whoa, we're not saying that. We're not saying that FBAs are not pioneers.
Y'all just catching up on stuff that we've been doing, man. If you look at the movie Hidden Figures, those sisters was working with NASA. We've been doing that.
I'm looking at the people who are excelling now, though.
Yeah, but it's still a lot of foundational Black Americans are business owners. Black Americans who are foundational are doing their thing now. What happens is,
like, yo, I want to hear a crazy fact. Black Americans is the most richest we're the most richest people in the Black diaspora. White people, Jewish people, the ones that y'all niggas hate, they're the richest they're the richest people in the white diaspora. Richest and powerful. We're gonna say powerful. Jewish people are the most powerful in the white diaspora. Black Americans is the most powerful in the Black diaspora, and it's because everything that we don't put up with that other people put up with. It's a known fact. It's no hate. There's no like, oh yeah, y'all niggas is peasants. No, it's just like we have more battle experience with white supremacies than anybody, because at the end of the day, most of us just keep on fighting. We could talk about Haiti. Oh yeah, they ran France out of fucking Haiti. No, but at the end of the day, but they were paying reparations to France so they don't go back to war with them. That's why their country's a piece of shit now, because they just got technically they just got their independence in 1946 or in the 1940s. And there's no shot with them, because what they have done with when they killed all those French people, like they got fucking Napoleon out of fucking office. That's what the Haitians did. They got the motherfuckers out of the office, but at the end of the day, they haven't done nothing ever since. Them niggas been walking on dirt with no shoes on, have no fucking clothes on half the time. Their country's like super in poverty. It's because they've been paying all those resources since, what is it, 1802. They just stopped like in the 1940s.
There's a few Caribbeans come over here and get jobs and then want to pop your collar because you got a job.
You don't think it's at a greater rate, though?
No, it's not at a greater rate. You know what? It's not at a greater rate, because what you do is you cherry pick the engineers and the doctors, but you dump all of the criminals, rapists, and gangsters on us and just make them Black. Y'all never count them. That's the problem. You don't count the shower posse and all of these niggas who come over here. Yeah, I'm going there. Y'all don't count them.
No.
Take them niggas
That's
over here
with you.
Take them over. No, man, take the gangsters and the hoodlums with you. Y'all dump them on us. Y'all never count them.
You think you think that? So you all right? Okay. I get what you're saying. So you're saying that
Look at the Tekashi situation. All those dudes around Tekashi were non-FBA. Those dudes were Trinidadian, a whole bunch of those weren't foundational Black Americans around Tekashi. That's a perfect example. A lot of these dudes doing a lot of riffraff stuff, you don't count them as immigrants, even though there are.
Okay, that's a decent point. But however, I don't think that's the majority. I don't think that's the majority.
I think it's a lot. I think it's more them than engineers. You just don't count them.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially in New York on the East Coast.
Okay, perfect. And by the way, this is why.
That's true.
I'm a real fan of yours.
Yes, indeed.
And by the way, no, I'm a fan of yours because I even like the people if I disagree sometimes. I like people who are great orators, people who have great points, and this is exactly what I wanted to do here. So, so I'm so happy you came here. But okay, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
it's a fundamental question.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, and I remember coming here, and I'll give you a story.
Mm-hmm.
I had a culture shock when I first came here.
Mm-hmm.
I came here, it was like middle school, right? And the way how I feel like home training is different.
Home training.
Yes.
Okay.
In like where I came from compared to when I came here.
Oh, I gotta hear that.
Don't play yourself like that, Act. Don't do it. Trust me.
Okay.
I gotta hear this.
I go to Hackensack Middle School. And I remember, by the way, this is the year when they knocked down the towers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting in the class, and there's a teacher, is a white little fat teacher. She's trying to teach us math. And when we're in school, number one, I'm not saying I agree with it, but like back we're in Jamaica, you get your ass beat. Like if you're not paying attention, if you're dozing off, anything, right? Not saying I agree with it, but it's structure. And also your parents, like if your parents, and I mean that happens a little bit here too. But here's the point. I remember there was this one kid just in class fooling around, completely bullshit. Like he literally had a portable TV put on Jerry Springer in the back. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I was shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember kind of like going home to my mom and saying, I'm seeing the wildest shit happen in American schools that I could never imagine. And I think that's home training. You don't agree?
No, because y'all find what you'll do. Y'all find the dustiest Negro over here and then compare yourself to the dustiest Negro. But y'all don't want us to do that over there. You go to Jamaica, there's people twerking and jumping off roofs and
that's not a party,
dude. Come on, home training. I've been to clubs in Jamaica, man. I've been all over Jamaica.
That's a party.
All right, whatever.
That's art.
Whatever, dude. I see these people twerking in gravel, pissing in the street, dude. It's what? Come on, home training. I've been to Jamaica, dude. I've been there, dude.
I know.
And I got love for Jamaica. It's some raggedy stuff going on over there.
Y'all niggas do be jumping off roofs doing splits and shit. I couldn't say that. Y'all niggas salute to Bobby. That's Freak Daddy's Bobby. That's one of my people that helped me with this podcast and stuff. Yeah, y'all Jamaicans niggas be y'all be wilding out. Yo, I seen this one nigga who does like a fucking front 450 onto the girl like this, then he started dancing on her like that, and the girl got her butt sticking out. Yo, he did a 450 split. He like did a flip and landed on her like this and started lifting her up. Yo, y'all niggas is crazy in Jamaica. I gotta say that. Y'all niggas is, y'all be on some other shit in Jamaica, man. I gotta be personally honest. You know?
Yeah, man, let's keep it a buck. If you talk about that home training, people out there trapping up in the mountains, dude, come on, let's not go there.
No, we have to go there.
Okay.
And the reason why is because I do believe there's a deterioration of, I would probably say, of just even the family culture.
Yo, y'all niggas be Kwame, y'all niggas do be doing that shit in Jamaica, man. Y'all niggas be jumping off cars and shit, doing splits and shit, and like be lifted. Yo, it's crazy. I seen this bitch. Nigga was like this. The bitch jumped off a fucking car like 10 feet in the air and did a split on the nigga's nuts like this and stuff. Yeah. Spring break is for white people. Yeah, spring break is for white people. Howard homecoming. That's mostly Caribbean now, my nigga. Y'all got y'all influence in HBCU schools. Like, I'm being personally honest. Y'all got that influence. Most of the niggas was doing the steps and stuff back in the days. Most niggas, do your little 1-2 on a girl and stuff like that. But y'all niggas be lifting bitches up in the air. And this is how you know it's Caribbean. Niggas be lifting bitches up in the air, throwing them up in the air, let the bitch fall on the floor. Then after that, just be dry humping the shit out of her like that. Yo, y'all niggas is wildin', man. Yo, y'all niggas is wild. And I'm probably exaggerating, but y'all niggas be, y'all be going full force with that shit, man. Yo, real talk.
Culture, even in the Black community, that I think affects this a little bit. Let's be honest. Are we not gonna? And I'm not saying that some of it doesn't exist. I'm not saying that these other places are perfect.
But damn,
just saying-
Jamaica though, the family structure in Jamaica, how is that? Jamaica, most of the people in poverty over there. How's that a good family structure?
Okay, well, we're not talking about necessarily finance at this point. We're talking about, for example,
Right, we're not. We're just
Hold on,
talking
wait,
about
wait.
culture.
when you see delinquents,
Mhm.
at least this is from my point of view.
Nigga
When you see
said
delinquents
spring break for
in a
white
place like
people.
Jamaica, usually
Yeah, spring break is for white people. Bitches, yo, white people in spring break be having orgies and everything, my nigga. Yo, you didn't hear what they did like 15, 20 years ago? These white people, hold on, bro, stop saying the N-word. You got the African American. Bro, you can't even spell African. You gonna tell me stop saying nigga, and you can't even spell African. Don't make me no generic African, my nigga. Come on. Don't do that. Especially you got some type of Igbo name too. How you gonna tell me not to do something? Really, bro? This is what we doing? An African American heritage flag. And you put a K instead of a C. You must be British, or you in some cave trying to flee to go to America. Come on, my nigga. You can't be do that. You need to show some respect. Come on. How you gonna Yo, Kwame, is this one of your peoples, man? Come on, man. You can't be doing that to peoples. Hold on. You know what? Since you said that, I'll try to cut down on the nigga word. Scouts honor. Real talk. I fucks with you, all right? Salute to you.
that family's so impoverished. It's crazy. I've seen people just or families or people who come from families who are middle class, pretty decent. I'm not saying well off, but they're just not taking advantage of opportunities, and that's my whole point.
Who's not? How are we not taking
the
advantage
reason
of
why-
opportunities? Because we're the ones who created the opportunities
Hold on.
for immigrant groups
Okay,
to come
but
over.
hold on.
shit.
Immigrants.
Hey, yo, my man. Was it OJ Kiki or something like that? OJ Kiki. Hey, yo. Are you a Pan-African? Yo, are you a Pan-African? You ain't gonna answer? Oh, he probably left. He got mad because I was kind
I
of
feel like when we get here,
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to take advantage of every opportunity, granted whether we create it or not. And I feel like a lot of times I'm having conversations with FBAs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who I feel like opportunities there in front of them, but they're not taking advantage of it.
What
So
are we not taking advantage of that you're taking advantage of? Y'all come over here and be
I think
right.
school is one of the things.
Dude, we do the school thing, dude. We do that. And then
Tariq,
we do-
I-
and then we
Tariq,
do
I guarantee,
business.
and I know you're a guy who's definitely also probably focused on like statistics and numbers as well.
Right.
I am from. Don't be. Dissents, bro. Don't be dissents. I don't know what dissents means. I never heard of it. I asked you, are you a Pan-African? That's a yes or no, my man. So you gotta tell me, are you a Pan-African? I thought you was from Africa, my man. Like, yo, look at your name is OJ Kiki, man. Elger, New Orleans. Born and raised, and so are my parents. I don't know, well, not with that name. Hold on, give me a second, man. Hey, yo, people, give me a second. I got to do some research real fast. 30-second research real fast. Cause yo, that don't look like no native land. Yo, that look like an Igbo name, man. And it's all right if you're from Africa. Why y'all Let me tell y'all something. I've been running into Africans that be trying to hide their their ethnicity. You know, what's up with y'all Africans trying to hide y'all ethnicity? All of a sudden, it's not in no more. Y'all don't wanna rock with the Africans. Give me a second, man, cause you know what? I've been. You know what? I'll do that after. He is lying. See, look it. He is lying. I knew it, man. Come on, you got that African name, my man. You're a Pan African. Just say you're a Pan African. Bro, I can smell the Egyptian musk on you, my man. Come on. Why you lying like that? That's foul, bro. This man lying, man. Oh, see, you just got exposed, bro.
I guarantee if we
You
grab
just got
like
exposed for lying,
statistics of
man.
immigrant Americans, this is all black people, right? Immigrant black Americans versus FBAs at whatever college, I guarantee immigrant black Americans are doing better on a average. You don't think so?
If I send
And then you tell me why.
if I send 5 foundational black Americans to Jamaica who got money, on average, they're going to be doing better than the average Jamaican. If you send a select group of people anywhere that you've cherry picked,
you're saying who has money,
that's what I'm saying. If you send a small group of people anywhere, on average, they're going to appear to do better if you crunch the numbers a certain way. But that's just not true that you're doing better over here. What would explain that? If you say it's the family structure, then why are you not doing better in your homeland?
Well, no, hold on. No. Okay, so I get what you're saying. You're trying to equate it to there. I don't think you could equate to what's going on in the homeland.
Why not?
Hold on.
Because if you got all
No,
of
no,
that,
no,
if
no,
you
no,
got
no,
all
no,
that
no.
family structure,
No.
home training,
Hey,
how come it don't?
Bro, I don't want to hear from no Pan African. I'm gonna be personally honest. I fuck with my man Kwame, but yo, y'all Igbo niggas and all y'all Pan African, to me y'all scammers. I'm gonna be personally honest, and I think I'm gonna be personally honest, and I think y'all were part of the problem back in the days when y'all was trying to give us an identity, cause the only thing y'all wanted us to stop doing was being radicals. Yeah, you could probably be from the Fifth Ward, but you could still be an immigrant. And what you just did is very foul, and I'm gonna be personally honest with you. I don't that come on, man. And I'm not shitting on a lot of on all Pan Africans, but there was some of y'all like y'all was on some nature boy shit. And I'm gonna be personally honest with some of y'all Pan Africanists. Some of y'all leaders like Dr. Umar and Brandon and Poetic Flacco, y'all have done shit for the black community. Let me tell you something. Y'all have done shit for the black diaspora. Yo, and for you to come out here and say, "Oh yeah, the African American flag," yo, you're not even a citizen, bro. You're not even a citizen, bro. You try to lump some shit up together and say, "Oh, yo, my family's from America and this and that," but I'm this and that, but you got some type of Kuta Kinte name, nigga. Come on. Don't start that bullshit with me. You can't do that. And let me tell you something. And your ancestors will be very insulted by the shit that y'all just did.
Don't work where you come from.
No,
And you know what? And this is why I respect Kwame so much, because Kwame tell me, "Oh yeah, I'm this, and that," and he tell me his ideology, and I can't be like, "Oh yeah, your shit is wrong." I can only debunk it, yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm not gonna tell him to stop thinking how he thinks. Like, come on, man, yo, you wildin'.
about an immigrant. It's not about. So I'm not vouching. I'm not trying to say Jamaicans are just better.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Since there ain't no immigrants in Louisiana, what is Kevin Gates? Kevin Gates doesn't have an immigrant background? We're gonna say that. So we're gonna say he's just a foundational Black American?
are harder workers, right? Jamaican Americans, Black Jamaican Americans,
Any
are.
immigrant.
Yeah, I'm talking about immigrants.
Any of them. If they're so much
Put it like
thorough
this.
than us, how come they don't do better in their homeland?
Tariq, let's be honest.
Thank
I'm
you.
telling
Bingo.
you, because there's a lack of
Shout
opportunity
out to
in the
Must
homeland
Eat,
that you're from. The
Entertainment.
people who
Then how
do
come
come
they
over
don't
here.
create the opportunity like we did? We created.
Shout out to Must Entertainment. What gave you away, Ojiki, is your fucking flag. That is not no native flag. That's not even a Geechee flag, my man. I don't even think that's a Geechee flag. But y'all let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna be personally honest. Y'all Democrat spies, y'all been on my shit lately. I'm gonna be personally honest. Even the Republicans, y'all been on my shit lately too. But you know what? This is the dope thing about, podcasting. This shit comes to light. Yeah, your identity comes to light. Somebody's gonna know you. Somebody's gonna be like, hold on, nah, man, yo, he ain't this, and that. Yo, that's what happens. He's still trying to argue, and yo, you just got exposed, bro.
The opportunities here.
I mean, also the white man did too.
Well, who made the white man create them? They didn't want to give us nothing.
We're not.
Let's be very clear.
We're not taking away from
All right,
the
you
contribution
can,
of
you can
Black
sit there and pop your collar
No,
to
we
the white
won't-
man.
we won't
No, the white man was made to say, hey, man, we ain't drinking
No,
from
no.
no damn water fountain no
Hold on,
more.
no, but
It was us making them say, hey, we ain't playing that game no more.
But are you down to say? Are you literally saying that?
What's up, homie? What's up? FBA Dallas, Texas. Yo, salute to you. Salute to Dallas, man. Hey, yo, I've been on that what is it? That Big X the plug wave, man. Yo, his shit is hard. That shit reminds me. Let me tell you what his music remind me of. And I'm sorry to go off topic. It remind me of a little bit of the back in the days with the DJ Screw music, but it had with a little bit of Pimp C. With a little bit of Pimp C. That's what that reminded me of. That Texas vibe that he has. Like, yo, that remind me of Texas. Yeah, I've been on that big plug vibe. That big plug, what was it? The Big X plug vibe. Yeah, that shit is hard, man. I've been listening to all his albums. So, yeah. My favorite song that I like was not my favorite, because I do like Levels, and I do like that other one that they have the Willie Hutch beat. 3-6 Mafia had the same one. That's one of my favorites. That's my top 2 favorites out of his albums. But that NLE Chopper with him, he did that with Pistol Packing. That's my shit right there. That's my shit. I blast that shit everywhere.
All the opportunities that black immigrants that come over here to take advantage of were created by Foundation of Black Americans.
Black Americans were pushing the envelope for that to happen. White people did not want to give us or you opportunities. They didn't even want black immigrants coming here. You understand that? They didn't want Asian immigrants coming here. We fought for them too.
To a certain extent, I agree with you.
Right.
But then I have the conversation that moves it forward to say, well, if historically, based on all the leaders and the history of the FBAs here, why do I?
Oh, okay. There's North Dallas and South Dallas. All right. Yo, that shit is hard, man. Yo, y'all make it. Yo, I give y'all like 5 or 6 years. Even the group that he has with the Meet the 600s, all of y'all niggas is gonna be popping in Dallas. I mean, all y'all niggas in Dallas is gonna be popping. Cause the thing about it, y'all still use y'all culture in Dallas, and that's what's so dope about it. You know, y'all still use not the 3-6 Mafia, the DJ Screw and the Michael Watts. Oh, okay. Yeah, y'all, salute to your city. Yo, y'all still use all y'all culture that y'all grown up on. Even the country culture, y'all still use. Cause technically country is black music, so I fucks with it hard. I fucks with it heavy, man. Salute to Dallas.
I feel, or maybe it's just me, and maybe clearly I think we differ on this point. why do the current lot of FBAs? I feel like they don't take advantage of those opportunities.
Oh yeah, thank you for supporting too, man. Thank you for supporting one more time, man.
By
Hey,
the ancestors
okay, look,
to a lesser extent.
Who's the Caribbean version of Birdman? Birdman's foundational Black American.
This is
Puffy,
a good
foundational Black
question.
American. Easy, he was a foundational Black American. Rest in peace to Easy. Tony Draper.
Yeah, I was thinking about tapping in, man. I might tap in probably Wednesday. I'm gonna try to tap in on Wednesday. Because next week I'm going to New Jersey. I gotta I'm going gambling because I gamble too to make money. So I'm gonna go to Atlantic City but I'm gonna tap in. I think I'm gonna try to tap in Wednesday before. I'm gonna tap in Wednesday, though. Did you know FBA have on fire? Yeah, the red, white, blue with the fizz. I was thinking about getting that one and putting it on that wall right there, or this one right here, because I got an empty space right now. I got the TV on the wall. You from the East Coast? Yeah, I'm from Jamaica Plain, Massachusetts. It's still Boston, but it's a town, Jamaica Plain. Cause it's like New York. They're boroughs, but we consider those towns. Boston is a city, but inside of Boston, there's towns: Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, Jamaica Plain, Rosendale, even some parts of Austin, Brighton. So yeah, niggas be lit over here sometimes.
Jay Prince.
Yeah,
Foundation
Boston.
Black American. These are very well-to-do Black men, got it on their own, took advantage of the opportunities that their lineage created. You don't have a Caribbean version of that. See, y'all like to compare yourselves.
Yeah, depending on what place you go, it's like Tether City. You go to Hyde Park, there's mad Haitians over there. And after that, everybody's mixed in with Dominicans, Caribbeans, Puerto Ricans. The crazy thing about it, there's no gangs. There's not a lot of Crips and Bloods in Boston. It's all mostly street gangs. So you can't even wear a hat because it's mostly a street gang. That's how crazy it is. So Boston is a very different crime city. If you really think about it, it's a real different crime city compared to other places where you have the Crips and Bloods and all this other stuff. My birthday. Oh shit, they fighting.
There's a bunch of people that if you really look,
what's
if you really
what's
City
the Caribbean
at
version of
places?
okay, of those people which are one-on-ones, but if you
They're
look,
not one.
if you-
It's a lot of Black foundational Black American
I know a lot-
CEOs who are
I know a
thorough.
lot of Black CEOs and executives that we have the same. Me and Steve Stout, who his lineage also tracks back to the Caribbean,
right?
And he echoes the same thing to me. He says
everybody's moving back down south. It's just niggas is tired of immigrants and shit. I'm gonna be personally honest. Niggas is tired of these immigrants and these niggas basically manipulating everything. Look at what the bitch Tatiana Fernandez. She was a councilwoman. Bitch got caught stealing money and giving it to her family members. The bitch about to do 1.5 years in jail. Plus, her husband, he's already doing life in jail, life without parole in jail for killing somebody in 2002. That's one of our councilwomen. Oh yeah. It's because also too, Boston is a systematic racial city. You can just feel that these niggas don't like you and stuff, and you can feel that niggas is doing something to manipulate you from getting fired or some shit. I grew up with Mexicans, but they grew a hell of a lot. And yeah, them niggas like to have babies and shit. So yeah, and plus a lot of people come from the border too. I always tell people all the time, the drug world is a big commodity. Them niggas don't really burn all that money. Them niggas take that money and do whatever they want with the money. So Patrice O'Neal, yeah, he's from Boston. You got Patrice O'Neal, you got Michael Bivins, you got Ricky Bell, you got Bobby Brown. Even Mark Wahlberg, he's from Boston, but he was from an old racist part of Dorchester. Oh yeah, him, Bobby Brown, Michael, everybody from New Edition was black. You know, but they were all hood niggas. I'm gonna be personally honest. They were all hood and project niggas. Bobby Brown's from OP. Oh, Bobby Brown was a project kid. You know, those other ones was from what? Cathedrals Projects. Yeah, all Orchard Park used to be a projects. They have a problems with my projects. You know, that's why I think they did a disservice when they made they want to talk with somebody. Was it I want to dance with somebody? The Whitney Houston video, and they did and she was supposed to be in like New Jersey, but that was in Boston. When there was like she was sitting there listening to music, that was my projects in Boston. That wasn't in New Jersey. That was in Boston. So, but that's the where she was sitting at. They have a problem with OP people from Bobby Brown's projects. So, yeah, it's. I used to do construction on it. Yeah, it's all Irish. And it's mostly because of the Irish too. The Irish, not even the Italians get along with the Irish in Boston because of Waddy Boja. Waddy Boja snitched on all of them. He was an informant, and he was out here touching up on little girls. Yeah, in South Boston. Yeah.
There's just something about when you come from the Caribbean or you come from another
yeah,
country,
you come here and you get opportunities that we created. That's the good thing. You have us here helping get opportunities for you. We're the ones who knock those doors down to give you a lane to come on through. We knock those doors down and say, let's do it for minorities, not just for us.
Okay, so I'm not gonna discount that. You know, there's someone is paving the road before we get
right.
there, right.
Yeah, he's the biggest rat. He was like the biggest informant of all times out here selling drugs. Fucking, he was getting guns from NRA. It was a fucking domestic terrorist group in fucking Ireland. They were the ones that allegedly burned fucking Conor McGregor's bar down. The IRA or some shit like that. The NRI or some shit like that. They allegedly burned his club down. You know, so yeah, them niggas was bringing guns and everything. One of those motherfuckers got caught and snitched on Whitey, and he just ran off for like, yeah, man, fucking cave dwellers, man. You know that it just be like that. That's why I always tell people all the time, y'all gotta know y'all enemy when y'all fuck with them. Yeah, you might have somebody that will fuck with the race heavy, but at the end of the day, you still have to be careful of who he, have around him. You know,
you think in turn when people like me make the argument, and also people like Candace, who I think takes it a little further, makes the point that, well, the immigrants are just outworking the FBAs. Do you think that's then disrespectful?
That's because it ain't true. It's just not true. Candace Owens plays the role of a white ass kissing bed wench. That's not hard work. I said that earlier. That's something that people were doing during slavery.
I said that shit earlier.
That's slave shit she's doing. Also, when Candace Owens got here, when she was like a teenager, it was foundational Black Americans helping her get money from a racial discrimination lawsuit. So that woman got her come up off foundational Black Americans. It was some Black people from the NAACP helping her get like $30,000. And then she turned around and jumped over there with white folks talking about ain't no racism. So that's an opportunist.
And I've heard this. So she had a racial...
There was a racial discrimination lawsuit.
Yeah.
You can look this up. And she got with the NAACP. I think this was in Connecticut, somewhere up there in the Northeast somewhere. And she sued these people. NAACP helped her get like a $30,000 bag. There's pictures of her with the NAACP and the whole shebang.
So then, all right. So let me phrase this question at you then. So Candace Owens would describe herself as an independent thinker.
No,
right?
she's not. She's not an independent. She regurgitates talking points from right-wing white supremacist thinking tanks. She's not an independent thinker. Those are talking points that's given to her. All of her arguments are in bad faith.
Okay. But do you believe there could be an independent thinker that disagrees with you? Because I've heard you also say one thing, and I get it too why you say it. You said remaining on code. Right, I've heard that a bunch of times.
Right.
Doesn't that promote like a monolith thinking, where it's like, hey, listen, we have to group think, so everyone needs to think like this, just because on the good faith of progress. However, this might not be how you naturally feel. Like, what do you feel about that?
Yeah, on code means you got to be about empowerment. If you're a Black person, we should be on code, because white supremacy, they're on code with each other in all areas of activity. This is how they remain in power. For example, when you have a person like Kyle Rittenhouse go out here and shoot people, there's a bunch of other white supremacists that's on code with him. The police are on code with him. They didn't want to arrest him. The judge was on code with him. The judge was sitting there acting like his defense attorney. The
You think
media.
that's what it was?
Oh,
Mhm.
did you see the case?
I looked at it, of course.
The judge was
Facts.
his damn defense attorney. The judge sat there and just bent over backwards for Kyle
And the
Rittenhouse.
judge definitely
I mean, he
stopped
he-
the
yeah,
the,
you
like,
couldn't
hey,
call the
hold
people
up.
victims. I mean, that was a complete
Yeah.
farce. The media was on.
Hold
code
on,
with Kyle.
what's the stake in that though? Because there wasn't any black victims.
Oh well,
in that.
Kyle Rittenhouse was allegedly targeting black people. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to go out there and
Oh.
target black people. There's video of him pointing guns at black people,
Okay.
and it was the white people who stepped in to stop him, and that's how the whole thing got going. And white supremacist society, they're cool with that because the people he shot, they're proxies for black people. It's something out of a book called The Turner Diaries. It's a book that was written in the 70s talking about a race war where white supremacists are going to be attacking black people. And they said, you got to attack white liberals too, and the nigger lovers and all of that. So that was a whole play on the whole Turner Diary thing where they attack white people who try to help.
Did anybody ever read that book? I never read it. Yeah, I never read that book. I'm thinking about getting it now to see what I read the Willie Lynch letter. Do I got that book around here? I be having mad books.
help black folks. So all of them were on code. The media was on code. Everybody was on code in the dominant white society to make sure Kyle Rittenhouse was safe. That's what codification means. We have to be on code as far as empowerment.
So I'll give you a potential aspect of being on code,
Right.
And again, I wish I was at my home studio back in like Jersey, because I would have threw up 15 clips of like things she said that I feel like you'd have had a response to.
Oh yeah.
So I'm kind of shooting off
And
the top of my
Candace,
head.
she's blocked me a long time ago.
She blocked
Yeah,
you?
she's been blocked.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know. Ask Candace, why did you block?
I think Candace Owens blocked me too, man. Because I was asking a question. I was like, yo, how you talking about amongst black Americans and you're not even American yourself? I called her a grifter. I called her the greatest grifter of all times. Yeah, I was saying mad foul shit to her because it's just, like, my nigga, it just doesn't make sense for you to be doing all this shucking and jiving. You don't even like black men. You're worse than a feminist because at the end of the day, you don't like black men at all. Not just men, but black men. So I think it's a bigger problem.
She did say that there's a few people she would sit down with, like,
Yeah.
that represents, a black voice, or I don't want to say necessarily a black voice, but the opposite of what she usually is spewing. And she said Killer Mike. She said
Right,
she
right.
would with Killer Mike.
I really, to be honest, I wouldn't sit down with her because, again, her arguments are in bad faith and they send her out here to waste time. I go for the white supremacists. If I'm going to sit down and talk about somebody's white supremacist talking points, I like to go for the white supremacists. They'll send her out there as the crash dummy. So even if you debunk Candace Owens, what do you win? You don't win anything with Candace Owens because she really doesn't have any credibility. That's her job, to be the crash dummy. I tell black people, don't argue with the shadow puppets of white supremacy because, again, they create a cottage industry of black people to go out here and spew these dumbass talking points so that we can attack them, and they're already winking at the white supremacists in the corner who's safe. So they're acting as attack dogs. So Candace Owens is a major distraction.
Okay,
Facts.
so regardless, still she is black. So
People gotta remember about Candace Owens. I'm gonna say this. She's marrying to money now. She don't give a fuck about money. She's still gonna have a roof. She's gonna still have the best of things because her husband is a part of the royal family. George Farmer or some shit like that. They're still part of that royal family, that racist ass royal family in England. You know they gave me a copy strike for that episode I did about the royal family. And I'm gonna do, you know what? I'm gonna do another one, but I'm gonna have it edited. Is the royal family the most racist, evil family of all times? Because at the end of the day, look they colonized England. I mean, they colonized Africa. They colonized the Caribbean islands. They colonized, they took over England from the Moors. So they killed, raped, brutalized, destroyed people. They're a cause of a lot of wars. So this is why I always use the word civil. I don't think a lot of these Europeans and these European descent people are civil. You know, this is what I have to talk about because Black Americans have the Black diaspora. I'm gonna say has done a lot for the world. Like, yeah, Black Americans contribute a lot of universal inventions, but as a whole, we created civilization. And I'm not even gonna use us as a subgroup. I'm gonna use us as a group, a human race group. We created everything from the Moors. They created the fucking what you call it they created the civilization of England. They created the Egyptian mythology and ideology. So it like what else can we say? You know, what else can we say? How much else can we give to you? And that's why, yo, when niggas be on that Yakuba shit, like, yeah, y'all niggas is Yakubas. You know, the off race of Yakuba, them niggas get mad. Like, yo, we're starting to see like what these Muslim motherfuckers was talking about. Talk about, yo, these are the most evilest people in the world. This and that. Yeah. That's what the Yakubs is. But at the end of the day, they're showing their true colors now. Like, look how crazy out of pocket these white people have been over the past 2-3 months. Over a white boy who's trying to be Batman and got killed. He had a death wish. If he wanted to be the police, if he wanted to be a police so bad, he should have took the police test.
So speaking about on code,
Yes.
I think, and she pretty much spewed this during the conversation I had with her. She said, "Well, a lot of people, I would think she would think were being on code when they all went towards supporting Black Lives Matter." She said she would call them out from day one. Things have came out recently. It's made Black Lives Matter not look in the best light, and she's like, "Well, this is why if you continue to just follow down a path of being on code, you're getting like misled."
Black Lives Matter is a code word. The organization Black Lives Matter, Black people really didn't follow that organization.
Facts.
Black
But they
Lives
collected a lot of money
from white people. White people gave them money. And it was white people who got that money. They put 3 figureheads up there and pretended that they were the leaders, but it was really white people behind the whole Black Lives Matter website.
Really?
Yeah, it was. What they do, man, they do controlled opposition.
I'm going to say this too, so bust it. Not even the Pan-Africans supported the Black Lives Matter. You could tell that was a paid organization. And like we even showed last week, I mean, was it Saturday that Pan-Africanism is it was a paid CIA thing. We talked about it, even though Bobby it doesn't mean that. The CIA funded the Pan-African organization. The headquarters is in Lagos, Nigeria. Why is it in Lagos, Nigeria, and we're fighting in America? The shit just doesn't make sense. Like the whole blueprint is backwards.
When the Mike Brown situation
What do
happened.
you mean controlled opposition?
Controlled opposition means when you had the Mike Brown situation popping off, you had some real activists out there in St. Louis and Ferguson. I was out there with them, real thorough brothers. All of a sudden, you had these random people nobody knew pop up, talking about Black Lives Matter, trying to take the momentum of the energy and then shift it to something else.
Facts.
So all of a sudden, the cameras came down, and then you had these activists who nobody knew making a lot of noise, and then the cameras got on them. And once the cameras got on them, they were like, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Also, LGBT lives matter too, and immigrant matters. And they start talking about all of this. They flip the energy.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Black Lives Matter website, they'll talk about some dead Black person and then talk about trans lives and LGBT and so that's controlled opposition. That's meant to dissipate the energy. And we knew that on the grassroots.
It doesn't that go into like I felt, and this is just me as just an American who even though I'm not a foundational Black
Right,
American,
right.
like, I feel I have a stake in things that would affect people who look like me, right? And I thought that was like I don't know if this is common consensus about like even Barack Obama's like his term. I felt like, and actually let me spit this out first.
Yes, yes.
I'm not a Trump supporter, but I do like what Trump do in terms of he fucks with his people. Like he's straight up with it. Like whoever who rocks with him,
Yeah.
he's not sugarcoating that shit.
Right.
And I felt like when Barack was in there, we're hoping he was just like, yo, I'm signing this just for the brothers. I don't give a fuck what y'all niggas gonna say, right? And I think that's when I started watching like, wait, they're just throwing in everybody in this. They're lumping this is the minority. This is the minority president, not the Black president.
Right.
And I look at it and I'm like, what do you think about that? In a way of where something is supposed to be for one thing and then they're kind of like siphoning other things in.
That's a trick they've been doing since the 1960s. It's called benign neglect.
Facts.
After the riots in the 60s, they said, hey, we got to stop Black people from turning up. So what we have to do is stop promising them things, because the problem is during the 1965 Civil Rights Act, 64 Civil Rights Act, they told Black people that everything is going to be equal. You're going to have equality. We're going to give you all of these things. They never did it. And in the late 60s, there were riots all over the country that people don't really like talking about. Black folks turned up. So they had to say, hey, look, we have.
Kwame, I already told you that them white South Africans are not coming to America. They'll lose everything. I'm talking about, you gotta look at it. South Africa is their bread and butter. They can't do no wrong. These white motherfuckers in South Africa kidnapping South African Black people and fucking doing the most to them. He cut DEI section. But most of us isn't on Section 8. Most of us don't need DEI because at the end of the day, that shit wasn't for us in the first place. That was just another code word for, oh yeah, let's give these other niggas stuff. You know, I'm just being personally honest. Like y'all motherfuckers, yo, Kwame, yo, if I would ever introduce you to my uncle, you will have my uncle fucking scared. My uncle was thinking that he's gonna go back to jail because of Donald Trump become a president. I think this nigga's still hiding right now. He probably thinks Donald Trump is looking for him because of the bullshit that you're doing. They're not here, man. Come on, Kwame, don't say that. You lying. Why you always lying, Kwame? You been stop that shit, man. Yo, Tommy's crazy.
We got to do a study.
I mean,
to see what's
Kwame,
gonna
I
calm
called
these
you
folks
Tommy.
down. Let's calm them down by just ignoring them. So anytime we talk about something that's supposed to happen for Black people, let's include everybody in it so we don't have to give anything to Black people, particularly foundational Black Americans. So when they came up with affirmative action, instead of saying we're going to give it to Black people, they used Black people as the mascot, saying, look at how bad these people are treated. So we're going to give affirmative action to minorities.
It is Monday, Kwame. They could come here, but they're still going to have to pay taxes. They probably wasn't even, and this is why they're going to go back to Africa, South Africa, because they're not going to pay no taxes. They're going to pay no tax. I mean, they're going to have to pay taxes. Yeah, they could get U.S. citizenship all they want, but at the end of the day, they're going to want to go back because at the end of the day, they're not going to have the privilege that like they have over here. Like, they do that shit, what they do in South Africa, they're going to get shot. Beating the shit out of black South Africans and shit like that? No, a nigga will shoot you here. Like a motherfucker will be dead up here. You'll be. These white South Africans will be kicking buckets right now because at the end of the day, they're all gonna be dead. They're gonna be taking a dirt nap. This is the superiority that I think these white Africans and these white Europeans be having, because at the end of the day, they think they could do it and say anything, and when a motherfucker tell you that's wrong, oh, these words should not be hurting. They should have never took it like that. Oh. It's just like, yo, come on, man. All words have consequences to it. You can't get mad at a person and say, oh, yo, he should have never took it that way, But at the end of the day, You can't tell a person how to take or react over things. With every action, there's a reaction. So let's stop that. Like, they're not gonna Kwame. There's nothing to be scared of. You scared of some funky, dirty, musty ass fucking white Africans? Kwame, you better. This is how I know you're not Black American, Kwame. You scared of, excuse me, you scared of white Africans. You're not even scared. You're not even scared of Europeans, my nigga. You're scared of white Africans. The most fucking dirtiest, fucking nastiest white people of all times is South Africans. You know, but hey, that's your thing, man.
Minorities. What's a minority? Anything is a damn minority. White women, Mexicans, Asians, handicapped people, LGBT. Even today, whenever they give a minority program or some tangibles for minorities, it goes to everybody except foundational Black Americans. That's why we're delineating now so that we can stop.
Kwame, let me tell you something. That's probably all staged, and I'm gonna be personally honest. Why? Because motherfuckers need food out here. Motherfuckers don't want to buy from Mexicans no more. So you better get all the farmers you can to buy that shit. So if South Africa's gonna work and not give a motherfucker no problem, then so be it. You know, but I just got to be personally honest. Ain't nobody scared of no South Africans. You're the only one who's scared of South Africans, man. Man, I'll slap a shit out of a South African. You know, we lit over here. We lit in America. We're not out here getting beat up like mother. What's your boy's name? Sean Strickland. He's getting his ass whooped. He got his ass whooped twice by a South African. Niggas ain't scared of no South African. Oh yeah, but I forgot you're half African too. Yeah, your boy Israel Gazania got choked out by one too. See, like, fuck is wrong with y'all, man? Y'all niggas out here getting beat up.
Playing this
That's
game.
why
where
Bones
we talk
Jones is the
about
greatest of all
this
time.
minority coalition where we're supposed to get some that we never get it. And we've been waiting on other groups to be reciprocal, and they're not helping either. We thought if we help everybody else get something, sooner or later they'll say, hey, let's fight for Black folks. That has never happened. So we're like, we're going to start getting tangibles for foundational Black Americans right now.
Some might be like, that's actually hurtful in the sense of when you then divide and you just make it a FBA type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, most of the things that get triggered to get accomplished is by strength in numbers.
No, because right now the Biden administration, they sign all types of policies specifically for Asians with that Asian hate thing.
Yeah,
you feel me?
Yeah, I know.
You feel me?
I agree with that one.
Out here,
I've been said that. I had to tell one of my my baby mother's family members that. I was like, yo, how the fuck are y'all complaining about Black people? Y'all got an Asian hate law. And I was like, y'all niggas didn't even do nothing for America. And y'all got an Asian hate law. That shit don't make no fucking sense. We built a community. We built the fucking country twice. We taught them how to plant, grow food, and everything. You see how England is. They can't grow shit out of it. We are the foundations of America. So it's just to hear her complain, I was like, nigga, yo, look at your country. I was like, yo, y'all niggas would go to y'all country for less than a month and come back. I was like, y'all don't even like y'all country like that. Like, why the fuck would y'all want to go back anyways? Y'all ain't got no real good doctors. Y'all got ladyboys running around and everything. I'm like, yo, you fucking serious? Y'all niggas ain't built that way. You know? I was like, y'all niggas is... I was like, personally, I just know y'all gonna stay in America, so... Because, yo, my baby mama was a part of the, she was in a concentration camp in Thailand. America was not designed for Black. I didn't say that. I said we built America. We are the foundation of America. You know? And America is technically a corporation if you kind of look at it. You come here to make money. You know? You can't make money in other countries. You can't make the money that you make here in other countries. You can't. It's impossible. You got to have some type of crazy degree. You got to have some American degree. Somebody's telling you like, yo, this nigga's good. Yo, he's good. Yo, definitely hire him. Nah, them South Africans ain't that crazy, and they're probably not down south. They go down south, oh, they're in trouble, and they all gonna run back to South Africa. They can't do that shit what they do in South Africa, beating the shit out of Africans and shit like that, putting them in boxes and burying them under the dirt. No, they don't got that type of power here.
I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
I
I'm
don't know
telling you,
what's
benign
going on.
neglect. I'm telling you what's going on out here in California. They have all types of set-asides and benefits for Hispanic immigrants. You don't even have to be documented. They give money specifically to Ukrainians. They gave billions of dollars to Ukrainians.
By the way, I also want your opinion. I seen it today. I don't know if you've seen it. They said they're giving like full health care for like immigrants.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
So yeah, they can give everybody else stuff very specifically, but when we say, hey, we need something specific, oh, that's divisive. Oh, we can't do that. Yeah, you can do that, and you're going to do that if you want us to participate in the political process.
So let's advance the conversation.
Yes.
What is it that would make and obviously there's nothing that would make a country built upon slavery and infringing on people's rights and torturing and killing a specific group of people. There's nothing, especially even monetarily, you could do to make it whole.
Oh yes, they can.
Well, it wouldn't be fully whole, but they could begin the process.
Oh,
let's be honest.
Yes,
so I feel like you're a representative just like of the demands of that group of people. Where does it start? How does it really get legislated? And how does it be a thing where it's not like, oh, okay, let's get you to buy in on this, and then later you're watching like the Asians like just collect all the millions, right?
So reparations, they got to do reparations specifically for foundational Black Americans.
How do they tell who's foundational?
That's what we're doing out here in California. They have a reparations committee that we've been on their bumper.
Yeah, they're gonna get shot, man. Yeah, there's probably only 59 of them, but they're gonna end up getting shot in Virginia. Virginia's an open carry state, country. I'm just being personally honest. It's an open carry country. State. They're gonna get shot, fucking around with these people. They might even get beat up by the city boys. Like, these city boys don't be playing around like that,
We made sure that they made it lineage based because there were people trying to make it race based so they can just give it to any Black person who was harmed by racism. That's very dangerous because if you do that, you allow other immigrant groups to come in. So now Hispanics can say, well, I was harmed by racism. I need to get in on that too. You got to make it lineage based.
Let me ask you a question. So two people who one came from Trinidad, one came from Haiti. They've been here since the 90s. They had a kid. The kid's now 30. The kid says, all I know is here. I need some of that reparation money.
Because he's not a descendant of slaves in America. He's not a foundational Black American. The foundational Black American reparations claim is a specific claim about slavery. See, this is not a claim about racism, okay? If we want to have a reparations thing about racism, that's a whole different claim. We're talking about something that happened to a specific group of people. We were enslaved in this country and we were never compensated for it. We need that group compensated. You can tell who's a foundational Black American. You go back to the 1870 census. If you can trace your lineage back to that census, you're a foundational Black American. Also, you have to be classified as Black for the last 10 years.
Kwame, you gotta stop being scared out here, man. I'm gonna be personally honest, man. You like these old people, these John Lewis type of motherfuckers. These motherfuckers out here scared walking, we shall overcome and shit. Nah. You gotta we tell you why Black Americans has been so successful. We know how to change it up when we need to change it up. All these other motherfuckers walking these streets and shit like that and want to talk about hold hands and don't shoot. Please don't shoot, some shit like that. No, nigga, fuck that shit. Niggas fight back. Y'all gotta learn how to fight back, man. Like, let me tell you something. You think this is the first time somebody crashed out on the fucking police? Like in Boston, we do that a lot. We crash out on the police a lot. Real talk. That's why, when I was young growing up in the projects, they couldn't come to my projects just one cruiser. They had to come like 4 or 5 cruisers. Cause these motherfuckers will fuck with the police. Some police get beat up. Some police get their tires taken. Yeah, shit like that happens. Shit like that happens.
Years. That's another thing too, because white people will try to say, well, hell, look at, I got a grandpa, a great grandfather who was a slave, and they're white now. You know what I'm saying? They've been trying to pull that type of game. No, your ass gonna sit down somewhere. Yeah.
So you're making sure there's nobody's gonna come in
yeah, none of that. No finesse, no Rachel Dolezals, no Justin Timberlakes, and none of that fake shit. So yeah, you have to be classified as black. I wanted to go further. You have to have Negro, black, or colored on your birth certificate. I wanted to go there.
But wait, you do know, like, within the black community, there's been a lot of
Kwame, there wasn't that many people that were in the 1900s that were African and Caribbean, Kwame. There was very little. There was a spectrum of group of those people, Kwame. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Even Chinese people, some of those people who were working on railroads did not leave. There wasn't a lot of them, though. There was like 200, maybe 300 of them. How many you think of Africans and Caribbeans that were there? They didn't even want y'all to come into this fucking country. So why would we, like, that doesn't make sense, Kwame. That's why I said that, like, yo, what you're saying is a false narrative. Y'all making it seem like y'all was here by the millions. Y'all niggas was not here by the millions. Till this day, y'all not even here by 3 to 4 million. Like, Africans are not here by 4 to 5 million. Caribbeans are not here from 4 to 5 million. There's not that many Caribbean people here. Like, I'm being personally honest.
A lot of culture mixing and a lot of mixing. Like, for example, you might have somebody who's a foundational Black American who then had three kids with three women, and one might be from the islands, one might be from Africa, whatever. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? But how do you figure out who to really give? If they have to be of pure blood at that point?
No. So if you can trace one parent back to a plantation, you're good. That's all you have to do. Even if it's one person, your mom or whatever, and you got
white people are definitely gonna get that shit in.
No, hell no, because you got to still be classified as black. You got to be classified as black still. You have to be classified as black now.
Rachel,
yeah, but on your birth certificate, Rachel Dolezal ain't black on her birth certificate. That's why I say we got to have
transracial.
But on her birth certificate, she ain't black. You see, but.
Because you know what? It's not okay. They're not getting reparation because of racism. Because if we're getting reparation on racism, everybody can get reparation. It's not on racism. It's the debt that they owe Black Americans that are enslaved to this country. That was enslaved to this country. Your people wasn't enslaved to this country. Your people probably went through racism, yes, but it's not a form of slavery. You're trying to equate racism and slavery. Slavery was a debt that they owe America. They took 90% of wealth from foundational Black Americans. That's the wealth that they took from us. Only 10, like a very, even probably less than 10% got some type of wealth from it. But they took all our wealth after we built the country. Then in the 1900s, you're gonna say, "Oh yeah, we're all equal now." After you already got the wealth that you took from me, that shit doesn't make sense, Kwame. This is why I say, like, yo, what you're saying is a false equivalence. I mean, it's a false narrative. I'm sorry, it's a false narrative of what you're saying.
But yeah, man, there's a lot of people who have foundational, and they're still qualified for reparations.
How much money?
Man, we're talking about starting off with 20 trillion. Let's start off with 20 trillion.
How many people do you think is being affected? So 20 trillion for how many people?
Like they say it's like 40 million of us. I think there's more because we're undercounted. A lot of Black people, we don't like taking the census thing. We don't. A lot of us, we live under the radar. That's another reason why I think they're afraid of really giving reparations, because they're going to see the true number. When they start showing that we're going to get checks, you're going to start seeing
people coming out of the woodworks.
They're coming out the damn woodworks.
Yeah.
I believe there would be about 70 million Black people here, man. To be honest, I believe there's way more foundational Black Americans than being counted.
So let's talk logistics. Where does the 20 million come from?
The United States government. because that's where
Out
the
of
money,
any specific budget, or just find the
no,
fucking
no, no.
money?
What was the budget for the COVID relief? They came up with money for that. Where was the budget for the damn
Yeah, Ukraine,
Ukrainians? That came out of nowhere. Give me some of that Ukrainian money. The money you gave to the bailout for the corporation. They come up with money all the time. The money they gave to the Afghanistanians. Give me some of that.
So I think
These are
this is one of the reasons
Afghanistanians.
why white folks specifically are resistant to anything about a reparation is that once they have finally admitted that they owe, it's going to be one of those things where you not only collect, but you go back to the back of the line, or you come back later and said, I need more. So is this a one-time payment? And how would that break down to like every particular black foundational black American? How would that break down like per average? Is it like 100,000? Like what is it?
There's a lot of different logistics to it. Sometimes it could be in monthly payments. It could be one lump sum payment for the family. So the logistics of it, that's something that we can get to when we get to it. And again, we're starting off with cash payments. That's a start off. Then we got to get into land grants because so many black people had their land taken. They were run off their land. They were out here in California, Los Angeles. They had something called Bruce's Beach. The family just got their land.
I just read that.
They just got their land back up there a few miles.
How the hell did they get that back? I would imagine like they would fight that shit to the nail.
Grassroots, yeah, the grassroots movement, man. The grassroots, you on it. You stay focused and let these people know, hey, we need what's ours, man. There's a place up there north of Bakersville called Allensworth.
Martha's Vineyard.
Founded a town and they ended up poisoning the water supply and ran the black people off. The place is a tourist attraction up there, but we are so grounded in building so many of these communities and we've been wronged by the society. So we have to be compensated and there's different ways to do it. But just the fact that they have to do it, that's the main thing.
What about if they look at it and they say, well, we're going to kind of treat this like how we treated the Native Americans in a sense. Like, you know what, we'll kind of like give you guys some land. And if you guys live in that, if the FBAs live in that particular place, we won't govern it. We'll give you some tax breaks, this and third, but chill out with the money. We're not giving you shit. You know what I mean? It's like one of those type of things.
No, man, the Native Americans are papered the hell up. I was just in Arizona, man. Them Navajo Indians got so much paper and land and casinos.
And shit popping, right?
Man, you can't even go on their land unless you pay them. They're like, yeah, you give me some money, I'll show you around. They got all types of paper. Schools, they got their own police force out there. They balling the hell out, man. Give me some of that. Give some of that to Foundational Black Americans.
So that could be a start of the conversation.
Well, give me the money for give me the same thing you're giving to these Native American tribes. They are papered up. They got all these casinos out here in California, big time. And what's interesting, a lot of the Native Americans out here were black-skinned people. The Ohlone Indians, the Mojave Indians, which the Mojave Desert is named after them. These were black-skinned people. Well, California was named after a black woman, Queen Califia, a mythological black woman from a Spanish novel that was in Moorish Spain. So we've always had a major presence out here in the Americas and in California.
I mean, a lot of what she said, I felt like I wanted a particular rebuttal that maybe I wasn't prepared at that time for. Maybe I think it's within your wheelhouse to be more knowledgeable of that. But she Candace Owens once endorsed a movement called Blexit, which was the black people exiting from the Democratic Party. And I think in theory, I think that's not a bad idea because I think we've been loyal to one particular party that pretty much just hits us with a bait and switch. You know what I mean? Bunch of promises. You get to the point where like a presidential candidate is saying, if you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, you know what I mean? He's a white dude. You'd probably agree with her on that, right?
Well, I'm not a fan of the Democrats. I'm not a fan of the Democrats.
What are you talking about, Kwame? There were blacks here. Yeah. Bro. My great-great-grandmother was from Alaska. She was from Alaska. There were black natives in America. You think they only came from Africa? You don't think they migrated all over the world? Why you think you got, let me ask you a question. Why you think you got coral hair, fair-skinned Asian people in Asia? Why you think you got dark-skinned Polynesian Australians? Oh man, Kwame, you wildin', man.
Democrats
Today,
at
man, you
all.
on a roll.
And I'm not, I don't like the Democrats. I've been critical of Biden, his team, Kamala. Yeah, I've been on their bumper, man, heavy.
So politically, what should black people do? Because the other, representative at that time, when they were running, the candidate was Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So would you tell them to vote for Trump?
Well, here's the thing. I told black people don't vote at all unless we get some tangibles, because the Republicans aren't really giving anything. And let's be clear. Candace Owens, she's an operative for the Republicans, for the right-wing conservative think tank.
I asked her that a lot. She literally said that she was.
What the hell is the damn foreign relationship channel called? So y'all bro, I don't know what you're talking about. Let me see. Black Americans were affected by Jim Crow and yeah, they did. They did. Yeah, man. Go on, build it up. Build up the comments, man. Y'all want to talk crazy? Talk crazy.
Wasn't it that she disagrees
She's
with
with
them a lot?
PragerU. Dennis Prager,
He's at his
suspected
list.
white supremacist, has this think tank, has a bunch of people on there spewing anti-black talking points. So she works for these suspected white supremacist think tanks. That's what it is. She's a one-trick pony. Her job is to go out here and spew these anti-black talking points and to justify black people getting harmed while she gets papered up. That's all she does.
But do you think that's necessarily just always pro-conservative, or maybe just her point of view just doesn't align with everything that someone who might be black and Democrat?
Well, if your point of view is the same thing as the white supremacists all the time, that's not a real point of view. That's a bad faith argument, and you're just out there spewing talking points. And that's propaganda. That's not your ideology. Because if your ideology was independent, we would agree on something at least some of the time. Your talking points wouldn't be the
Kwame, the modern day Australians didn't mate with the Europeans. They got colonized by them.
the same as all the people on Fox News. It's all of their talking points. Notice they all sound the same in unison. They'll come out with a specific talking point about Black Lives Matter, and then they'll change it up about critical race theory. That's the new talking point now. That's a talking point. That means nothing. These are boogeyman tactics that are passed down from white supremacist think tanks. So it's all bad faith arguments.
What do you think about critical race theory?
Critical race theory is a talking point. That's basically a code word for black folks. Critical race theory means if you go, let me tell you, they've always used these weird code words for black people. Like in the 60s, instead of using nigger, they started saying communist. So when Dr. King, he's not a nigger, he's a communist. What does that mean? This is whatever I make it mean. Then they start talking about, well, Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. Who's Black Lives Matter? All you niggas. You know?
Yeah.
Welfare queens. Look at all these welfare queens. Look at what about Chicago? Chicago is a code word for black folks. That's a code word for black people.
You're right. Okay, you're right.
So critical race theory, if you talk about racism, well, that's critical race theory.
Well, isn't so? The argument I've heard is that there's a new thing that critical race theory is being taught in school, and it's like,
no, it's not. What? No, it's not. What's critical race theory? Can you define what it is?
Well, it's. I really don't know the full.
Everybody
definition.
does the same thing when you ask for a definition. Well, it means nothing. It literally means nothing. It's like the N-word. It's like the word nigger. You know, the word nigger has no definition.
Well, all right. So I'll give you what I've heard. It's basically kind of instilling in the curriculum certain things that certain people think is harmful to the black community, because it kind of builds a level of, whether it's excuses or just victim mentality. I think that's how I've heard it being described.
Right, and that's relative because English can be.
Hey, Kwame, Niger hasn't even been a country for over 300 years, my man. Nor as Nigeria. I don't think Nigeria has been a country over 150 years.
Destructive to the black community to a certain degree. If you start teaching about English and the etymology of English and certain English words that were used and where they came from, people can look at that and get offense to it. Like the word, for example, we talk about the Moors in Spain. Moor used to mean black. They started using the term blackamoor, then they started using the term black. They just cut off the word more and started using black. So some people could say, well, that's negative because black is a negative word. So it's relative. You know what I'm saying? So what they're meaning is if you teach about racism, if you point out the racism of historic figures, because if you teach history, you're going to teach about a white supremacist, especially in American history. All of the forefathers were white supremacists in their own words. So if they try to criticize you for teaching critical race theory, that's a contradiction, because if you go to a school, and I lived in Alabama as a child, I went to a school called Robert E. Lee Middle School. Robert E. Lee was a white supremacist Confederate. The Confederates believed in white supremacy. That was their words. Their whole thing was to fight the U.S. government in order to keep a white supremacist regime, to keep black people subjugated. So you can't complain about me pointing that out in a school named after a white supremacist. You see, where does the critical race theory stop, or where does it end? It's just a code word, meaning you're not supposed to teach the truth about racism and white supremacy. That's all it is. So they want to keep up statues and monuments of people who scream white supremacy, but we're not supposed to say it, you know?
So, and this goes to another thing, you know, you've said this a lot, and I feel like sometimes people look at others when they say this term at this point, white supremacy, right? White supremacy, some people would say, well, what is the definition of white supremacy? Because it kind of, white supremacy, I feel like, has taken the almost a definition of like porn, where, like, you know, the historical definition is like, you can't really define, but you know, you see it, right? So like, what would you, if someone is saying, how could I see white supremacy affecting me? They're black, but they don't get it. What would you define that to? Because I know a lot of times you'll say, well, so-and-so, they're working under the veil of white supremacy. And then we're thinking, well, is this an organization? Do they have like some type of a particular code? Who's the leader? Like, where do they meet? What's going on? What would you necessarily say?
Yeah, white supremacy is basically controlling and dominating people systematically based on race. That's what white supremacy is. That's always been the definition of white supremacy. And the people who created white supremacy came up with that definition. We got to understand, the white supremacists were very open about white supremacy and instilling that into the public consciousness for centuries. Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, even the Constitution, not the Constitution, but a Supreme Court justice law used the word white supremacy. They were using the words white supremacy themselves. Going into the
directly?
60s, yes. Thomas Jefferson has a book called Letters from the State of Virginia, where he talked about how supreme the white race was. Abraham Lincoln talked about how supreme the white race was.
Hey, yo, I'm going to let this play. I'm going to be gone for like 15, 20 minutes. Y'all do y'all thing, all right? If y'all get crazy, y'all get crazy.
How supreme the white race was. There was Judge Taney in a Supreme Court ruling for the Dred Scott decision. He talked about a black man has no rights that a white man is bound to respect, the inferiority of the black man, the superiority of the white race. This was a Supreme Court law that was put in on document. They had books going all in through the Jim Crow era of them just talking about white supremacy, white supremacy. The white feminists were talking about white supremacy, white supremacy. They were holding up signs in the 60s, white supremacy, white supremacy. So that's their word.
How does it manifest to, like...
That's why when people say, yo, when people look at white power, it's negative, because at the end of the day, it was birthed on negativity. It was birthed on white supremacy. So, yeah. Why you want to separate the two if they're both doing the same thing?
Today, like,
white supremacy dominates all areas of activity. There's not one single area of activity that's not completely dominated by white supremacy right this minute. See, we think of white supremacy now as white extremists. We think of the Klan.
Yeah, that's what
that's what the white media wants you to think. They want you to think, well, white supremacy is the skinheads. White supremacy, that's just the Proud Boys. No. The white supremacists are the people at the school board.
Would you consider there was a woman who was standing with Trump recently, and she was like, after the Roe v. Wade, pretty much that being overturned, she was just like, yo, listen, well, white lives, like basically say white lives matter.
It's a great victory for white lives.
Yeah, great victory for white lives.
That's white supremacy, right there.
Is that like the embodiment of white supremacy?
Even the abortion law, the abortion ban, which I'm for, by the way. I don't care about the abortion. Because we need to have a pause button on all the debauchery that we get into as black folks. But
so you don't care that
they can ban it. They can ban it. That's fine. Because people need
don't you think that disproportionately affects and disenfranchises black and brown people who probably don't have the resources to take those because what white people
who's the brown people? Because I have a problem with that term. Who's the
brown
people?
I don't
like
that brown?
Term. Who the hell are brown? Who's brown?
I think they just say Middle Eastern people and also
Middle Eastern
Hispanics.
They consider themselves white. You look at their paperwork, they don't say nothing about no brown. Middle Eastern and Hispanics all classify themselves as white. They don't look at themselves as
but
brown.
They definitely apply for everything that would fall under minority.
Yeah, I know that. That's a come up for them. Yeah.
So you don't believe you believe that categorizing people as brown people is
because nobody classifies. There is no the brown is a mythological thing. Nobody classifies themselves as brown. And notice they always use black and brown. So whenever we
know a rapper, you ever heard of rapper Nav? He calls himself the brown boy.
What's his name?
Nav.
What is he? He's
an Indian guy.
East Indian?
I don't know. He's just Indian.
Okay.
His name is Navaraj.
Okay. Ain't nobody heard of his ass. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. But yeah, the black and brown ain't no black and brown, man. There's no black and brown.
I feel like he's just not inclusive. Like, yo, Tariq, you gotta let us everybody in. First of all, you don't want us immigrants in.
We've already let everybody in. Damn. Everybody's in. They here.
Yeah, no, but let us into we're all for the plight.
No, yeah, our plate. Yo, you're for the plate, not the plight. Our plate of food. No, y'all in to get it for you. Everybody's brown when they want to get something that we done fought for.
I think that happens with a lot of Hispanics.
Yeah, because when they get something, when you give some money to some Hispanics, ain't no black nowhere. They don't bring us in nothing.
That is, I think sometimes there's certain ones, and I won't say everyone from a Hispanic country, some of them code switch. And when I mean
major, they play 3-card Monte. What they do, they'll play the white. They play the white Spanish. Yeah. Spanish is white. They'll play the indigenous. They'll play that card, and then sometimes they'll play the African card.
Yeah, of course. And sometimes when it's something that's really specific for them, they make it very clear. We ain't black. We ain't
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I got a problem with that. I got a major problem with that.
And actually, what I think I heard I guess this was off the polls around the last president election. They were like, a lot of the Hispanics that were even immigrants, they more identify with Republicans. They're like, all that black shit going on over there, that ain't us.
Especially down in Miami. Them Cubans, Cubans get over here off these democratic policies that we done fought for. We done got our heads bust to get them over here, and they come over here and be like, MAGA. They come over here with a damn MAGA hat on.
Yeah. So is that one of the reasons? Are you like,
I'll be right back, everyone.
We gotta just kind of just protect house.
Yeah, because what happens is, man, we fight to get these groups over here. We elect people to bring these groups over here. We have our organizations that's supposed to work for us, like the Congressional Black Caucus, who don't do one thing for black people, but they do everything for immigrant groups, everything. And then when immigrants come over here, they turn around and say, well, how come y'all don't pull yourself by your bootstraps? Damn, I did it. Well, damn it, you did it because I helped your ass. Yeah.
I just also thought about it. I'm like, my man 21 Savage, he's an immigrant.
Yes, he is. He's from the UK. He's British, and nobody knew that.
Yeah. I mean,
until he got hemmed up, nobody knew that.
Well, and even so, one might say, well, if you believe white supremacy is tainted and is basically here to, subvert, the plight of FBAs and the ascension of people of our color. Well, why not? Would you deal with them? Like, in terms of, if they rule everything, isn't the only option to just create independence separate from them? Because again, if you work with them in any capacity, if there's this white supremacy that's still operating in a very thinly veiled, because we're now operating that it's not just extremists, you're never gonna defeat it then. So how do you then operate in a country where you're acknowledging this is a problem, but if you continue to work with these motherfuckers, they're always going to keep you subjugated.
And that's why we have to be codified. We have to be on code, and we have to have people around us who are on code. Because when we try to get stuff done independently, the white supremacists will oftentimes sabotage it. When we do black businesses, a lot of black businesses are actually sabotaged. So when people start saying, well, how come you guys don't take advantage of the opportunities? Foundational Black Americans, man, we built so many institutions and industries that were destroyed that we had to rebuild over and over again. Nobody has had to deal with that. The Black Wall Street, the one in Tulsa, and many other Black Wall Streets that were around the country. Out here in Los Angeles, you had the Central Avenue area, which was a thriving black business area that they pretty much put the freeway next to and destroyed that. They're doing that right now on Crenshaw right now. They got that train station they put in the middle of Crenshaw that has uprooted a lot of the black businesses there. We were trying to buy, I'm getting a building on another area, but we're trying to buy real estate out there in the Crenshaw Lamert Park area, and we're running into so many obstacles. And other black people, when you go in there with cash in hand, they're not letting you buy the real estate. They don't care how much money you got. They will underbid you. It's not a coincidence that man. Some black folks tried to buy the Crenshaw Mall. They let a white group get the money, and they put in a lower bid for the Crenshaw Mall.
Really?
Again, there's about 3 businesses on Crenshaw that I went in with cash in hand to buy, and they came up with a whole bunch of excuses to not give it to me. I got to get another place that's not too far from Crenshaw. I'll talk about that at another time. But yeah, they play these little games when they're trying to gentrify us out of certain neighborhoods. They don't care how much money you have. That's why Nipsey was targeted. Our good brother Nipsey.
Do you think he was? Like, I've heard so many conversations, and I'm wondering, targeted by who?
Nipsey was targeted by the city because they were trying to get him they didn't want him to have his shop there. They were putting nuisance injunctions on his business. That's another con game that they do out here in Los Angeles.
Is it because he was gang affiliated?
No.
Be honest now.
No, it wasn't. Okay, if he's gang affiliated, all the damn liquor stores are gang affiliated. Okay, because they'll say, you know what I'm saying? Every liquor store in South Central LA is gang affiliated.
Yeah.
Church's Chicken is gang affiliated. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna play that game. Don't cherry pick the black businesses and say, well, gang members go there, so we got to put an injunction on it. Well, gang members go to all the places. They go to Sally's Beauty Supply. You're not putting an injunction on the Asians. You know what I'm saying? So they do that to black businesses. They'll selectively put a nuisance injunction on it, saying, well, there's gang activity here, and we have to do a stakeout, and then they get a court order to really uproot them from the business. Nipsey, instead of him leaving that area, he bought it from the landlords, and they were like, oh my God, we didn't know he was going to do that. Then all of a sudden, some random dude who's a known informant steps up there and shoots him in broad daylight.
So it feels like you don't believe that his death was just like what I think a lot of people are trying to or starting to like accept is that it was just a random incident that happened with the guy who they had some conversation about snitching, and the guy just came back and snapped. He's crazy.
There's too many. I do business out here, man. I'm doing business with a lot of these real estate developers, and I see the stuff they do behind the scenes. There's other black folks whose businesses are being targeted just like Nipsey. They can get them out of there. They don't have the money that Nipsey had. They put these nuisance injunctions on a lot of black businesses, man. I see it. Nipsey just had the money to stick around, and that area is going to have a high real estate value because they're bringing the Olympics here.
Do you think they're gentrifying that area?
Yeah, big time.
So you're saying that they're trying to say, let's get all the gangs, the really the black. Let's get the black people out here. Just let them get them out of here.
Let's get the black people. Yeah. Whenever we start making real estate deals, when you start buying property, and the value is going to go up, that's a threat. They've always looked at that like, oh, you about to deal with some real money now. They already built the football stadium out there near that area. So there's real money.
I've always wondered how that matters. I feel like they had a stake in that.
Yeah, there's a lot of big money. And the train station out there too, the commercial real estate is about to boom out there. They know that. So yeah, it's not, I don't think it's just a coincidence that this dude just ran up and shot Nipsey and it was just some gang shit. No. I think it was more than that because it happens too much. Anytime black people start making these real estate deals, when we start getting property and that property is going to have value, all of a sudden we end up dead, place gets burned down, everybody ends up lynched. It's too much of a coincidence to me.
How do you avoid that then?
Us being on code about it. That's what us being on code and understanding what's going on so we can protect each other. That's very important. Okay. Because look, down in Atlanta, they tried to do the same thing in Atlanta in 1906, I think. They tried to run all the black people out of Atlanta.
I feel like they're doing it now.
Yeah,
with like some of these like Like, hey, all you niggas in gangs, let's get you out of
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But also, that's ran by a black woman too.
Yeah, oh yeah. Fonny, yeah. And I told people not to vote for her. I told people,
really?
I knew she was.
You knew about her?
I knew her get down, and I was supporting Paul. What's Paul? The other guy before him. I was supporting.
I think she's following the Kamala Harris.
Yeah, because when she was getting elected out there, I saw she was clicked in with the police. The police unions were giving her money. I said, man, this woman is going to be bad news. She's going to let all these cops go, and she's going to start locking brothers up left and right. And people were like, nah, she's cool. That's our sister.
It always feels like it takes a black face to usher the bullshit in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
that's what they do.
The way she talks is she's like, yo, I'm gonna be harder on these niggas than they ever been.
Yes, indeed. While she's giving the cops a pass.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Like the way she talked about it, like she said, I love the RICO charge. That's a tool I love to use. I'm gonna clean the streets up with it.
Yeah, but she's not doing anything about those corrupt cops out there shooting random people and all of that stuff. So they always get them a good.
Is that still happening a lot? Because I feel like the media's disappeared with that type of showing the presence of it.
Yeah, well, they kind of try to hide it now because people make a big deal out of it and they try to bury those stories now, but it's still happening out here. The brother just in Akron, Ohio, they shot him 60 times. 7 white cops shot this brother 60 times. It was 60 bullet holes in this brother a couple of days ago out there in Akron, Ohio. So we're still watching this stuff go down. The white media don't like to talk about it on a national level, but it's still happening out there.
I've seen you also talk about, and I think this is why when I hear your name get mentioned, whether it's like on Twitter, I think Twitter is a really toxic place, but like even I'll see certain people have certain narratives about you, and I've seen certain times like some of the I would say some of the black SJWs, they don't really fuck with you like that, man. Like some of them, and
but are they really relevant though?
No, but I guess it would go to the overall point of someone saying, well, Tariq might be more divisive than uniting. And in any movement, especially when you're trying to lead against somewhat oppression or white supremacy, you need a uniter. Like I've seen you kind of get into it a few times with like, what's some of these people's names? Like some of them, I don't even know these people, bro. Like you probably know them, but like you
and a lot of these social justice warriors are really democratic shields. Let's be very clear.
Okay,
a lot of these
mean?
people, meaning they are operatives for the Democrats. The Democrats put these people out here. They work for liberal media companies. They work for the DNC. They might work for a particular candidate, and they'll push them out here to talk like us and act like they're grassroots, but they're really funded by some left-wing think tank.
Why do you think it's mostly women? I feel like
because of feminist groups, white feminist groups.
Okay,
I've
heard you kind of talk about that, where I think your point of view, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you feel like a lot of people who should be on code in with what black people got going on, they're almost representing this quote unquote feminist movement more so than what black people have going on, and they're working for white feminists very much.
And it's not even really them supporting the feminist movement. That's just a Trojan horse. A lot of these women and dudes too. It's a lot of dudes too.
Yeah, the time is changing.
It's
a lot of dudes.
A lot of these.
I think it's pandering though.
It really is. But a lot of these social justice warriors are non-FBA too. That's another thing. Because we look into their backgrounds, and a lot of them come from immigrant backgrounds.
Oh, don't see. Come on, Tariq, you gotta give us immigrants.
We on everybody's bumper.
No,
when we start looking at them, and they sit up in there. Y'all stop talking about some tangibles. Y'all stop talking about reparations, man. We need abortion rights. I'm like, who the hell are you? Then we look in their background, like, oh, your ass from Haiti. Who are you talking? Don't talk about our business. Yeah, we calling everybody out. You ain't gonna jump up and act as our representative, and you ain't even from here. You know what I'm saying? So we on everybody's bumper, homie.
but seriously though, do you think that there could, do you think there could be someone could fight multiple plights at once? Like for example, say someone who, for whatever reason, they are very interested in the feminist movement, the LGBTQ, QIA, progressive movement, and also movements that help black folks. Like they're for everyone.
Okay, we ain't doing that because we've done that already, and it don't work for us. We've been prioritizing everybody, and if we keep letting them prioritize everybody, it will never stop, man. let's prioritize Hispanics, and then we'll get to the black people. Now, when it's our turn, well, let's prioritize Asians, then we'll get to you. Or let's prioritize handicapped people, then we'll get to you. Well, let's prioritize trans people, then we'll get to you. Well, let's prioritize pansexuals, then we'll get. I mean, whatever they say, because I've heard that term before.
Oh,
it never stops, man. They're going to prioritize everybody over us if we let them. We're saying no more of that, man. We got to get tangibles for foundational Black Americans right now.
Does that involve, when someone's trying to get, like, for example, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're trying to get something changed, you're gonna have some lobbyists. You have to play the political game to a certain extent.
Not really, but
how else do you get that done then?
The Ukrainians aren't even citizens, and they got billions of dollars. They didn't play the political game.
Yeah, but clearly, if you're saying that we're operating under a system of white supremacy, like, well, Ukrainians, they white. You know what I mean? Again, they're looking on a world scale, a global scale, like it's in their.
So you're right. Well, so they didn't do anything politically.
So we need something. We need something to leverage, though, because there's nothing that will ever make them feel that they need to do something
right. And what you leverage is your lack of voting, because see, we get out here and vote just because. And if they know we're going to vote anyway, they're not going to do anything. If we let them know we're not going to vote, if you don't do something for us, we're not going to vote at all. And a group of people who drop out of the political process, that's a dangerous group, and they know it, because they're going to come up with alternative ways to get what they need done. They don't want us to think like that.
Wouldn't someone say that if you don't cast a vote, you are in a sense can't cast a vote because the Republicans are just going to win?
It don't matter, because if the Republicans win, that's fine. We don't have to support them, but if they win, that's fine, because then we're going to play the lesser of two evil games. All right. And if we're going to say who's the lesser of two evils, I would say the Republicans are the lesser of two evils, and I don't have to support them, but I would rather have their policies than the liberal policies. Why? Because with the Republicans, I just got to deal with white supremacists, and the white supremacists, basically, they'll stand across.
That's bad, though.
No. I'm dealing with white supremacy with the Democrats. Not only am I dealing with white supremacy with them, I'm dealing with anti-Black hatred from Asians. I'm dealing with anti-Black hatred from Hispanics. I'm dealing with anti-Black hatred from Arabs. I'm dealing with anti-Black hatred from the LGBT community. So I'm getting it. They're stabbing us all over. The racist.
This is a one-on-one match, not a handicap match.
Right. So give me the white supremacists. I'm good with just one white supremacist. If he'll stand across the street and throw knives at me, then I can kind of duck the knives. But the liberals from 5 directions. The liberals will come up and just hug on you
and just poke you up
and start poking you from the side, man, and telling you they ain't poking you. Like, no, that's not. No, that's my finger. I'm tickling you. Give me the white supremacist if we're gonna play the less than two evils game.
Would you have voted for Trump then?
I wouldn't have voted for Trump. No, because Trump, too many white supremacists are clicked in with his regime, so I wouldn't have voted for him. But I would have preferred him over Biden.
It appears that he's going to run again come 2024.
Yeah.
I hope Biden's in physically and mentally good condition to run again.
Biden has almost no Black support at this point. Only Black people who support Biden are old niggas and LGBT niggas. Don't nobody support Biden no more in Black society.
I think a lot of not a lot. I think a good amount still do, because you have to admit you were wrong. Because I mean, he still got. I know Barack broke the record in terms of galvanizing the Black community to vote for him, but he still got pretty decent amount. I think he might have got maybe as much as Hillary in terms of like when she went for the primary.
They say that. To be honest, I do. And people talk about the vote. The election was somewhat of a finesse. I don't think all of those numbers were accurate, because I don't know any Black people that were really excited about Biden or voting for him. Also, a lot of people were scared into leaving Trump in office. The white media said, if you leave Trump in office, the white supremacist boogeyman is going to get you.
Exactly.
And I told Black people, look, Trump really didn't put any policies together that directly harm Black people. You understand? In fact,
so you don't think he was a bad president?
I didn't say he's a bad president, but he didn't harm Black people. He didn't put any policies together that actually harm Black people. But Biden has always put policies together that specifically harmed us, like the crime bill, so many other things. Prioritizing all these other groups over us, that harms us. So I would have rather had Trump in there. Not that I would have supported him or voted for him, but if we're going to go lesser of the evils, I go with that.
Yeah, I mean, and I know this is trivial in the grand scheme of things, because it's never about the individual. It's more about the large group. But shit, look what's going on with Brittany Griner right now, right? Like, as opposed to shit. At least Trump told them motherfuckers like, yo, give us ASAP Rocky back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Unless something gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At least to make black people happy for a day.
And I popped my collar to Trump. He got Harry O out of jail. Kodak Black, Lil Wayne. He got some black folks out of there. You know, that little bit is better than Biden.
Yeah,
you know
I feel like Biden was just like, yo, yeah, you niggas support him like you should. Now shut the fuck up while I do what I really came here to do.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, I mean, do you think this is a time like, you know, even with your movement, maybe it's time that we start, and this is what I was trying to be inclusive. We probably really need a legit third party system. You know, it can't be just, if we're saying both parties are controlled under a structure of white supremacy,
right?
Why don't we try to build or bridge something else that we could really tangibly leverage?
Well, we can make them leverage it, man. We can make these people do what we want them to do. We just don't support their bullshit. If we just stop supporting their bullshit, that's 80% of the battle right there. The problem is that they come around and they con us into voting for them without giving us something. Understand, politics is warfare without bloodshed. We always have to understand that. It's warfare. And we have to look at it like that. When they get around other groups, they talk about what they're going to give those groups. Hispanics are talking about what we're going to get tangible. Asians, what are we going to get tangible? The LGBT, they get billions of dollars from the Democrats. But with us, they only talk about inclusiveness with us, with black folks. They don't talk inclusiveness with all these other groups. When it's us, when we come around, it's all hug fest and kumbaya. Let's twerk and let's love on each other. Damn that. I'm like Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it? Let's get this money popping.
I'm wondering, what do you think? And go back to the abortion thing. I read like some crazy statistic recently that, well, in like the year like 2045, the Hispanic race, if we're going to call it that, I don't know if we could, but right. The Hispanics are going to be the demographic that outnumbers white people and outnumbers black folks, right? So they're going to be a lean demographic, right? Some people believe that it is in the best interest of white people to really stop all that abortion shit, that they could remain and keep those numbers for as long as they can. Now, what's lost in the mix of that is that, you know, first of all, you know, black folks naturally, like since the iteration of time, we're pretty much the number two, and over time, we were hoping, right, with, you know, the one drop rule, this and third, we're pretty much gonna level the playing field to an extent through immigration and other things. The Hispanics seem like they're gonna come and just fuck the numbers up, and it doesn't appear that if they get the numbers on their side, they're gonna be looking out for us.
Right.
So, what is the solution with that when it comes to black folks and just strictly the number game?
Right. Well, the thing is, the problem they have with letting other immigrant groups come in is that, you know, you got to go through a hazing process with these immigrant groups. You got to haze them into whiteness. Hazing, you got to whip them into whiteness. They did it with the Italians. They did it with the Greeks. What they did with the Italians, they kind of smacked them around a little bit, say, hey, you better get on code with us with this white thing or you're going to get smacked around like the niggas. They did it with the Greeks. Get on code with us, we'll smack you around like the niggas. They did it with the Irish back in the 1800s. Get on code with us, we'll smack you around like the niggas. Nobody want to be treated like niggas, so let's get on this white code. Same thing with Hispanics. Hispanics have always wanted to identify as white. Now, here's the problem. Most Hispanics have black ancestry. You can't be a Hispanic over here in the Western Hemisphere without black ancestry. Two ways, because the Moors who were in Spain, they were black people. They dominated Spain for 700 years. That Moorish gene is there. Also, all of these Hispanic countries in the Western Hemisphere, they were slave colonies. So there were black people there. So they have these black genes that could be throwback genes. And this is what white society kind of has a problem with, because you'll have a white-skinned Latina, whoever comes over here, but they have a baby with a big-ass afro. You know what I'm saying? So they want to, they're kind of weary about them sneaking in those black Moorish genes into white society. That's not a good look for them, because they want to do that pure white thing. So this is why they had to go with the abortion option. This is the last play they have, because their numbers are already dwindling. White numbers are completely down right now. They're retrogressing right now. So their numbers are going to be in the minority way before 2050. You understand? Because their numbers are hella low right now. The average white person is like in their 50s. You understand what I'm saying? Really? The average white person is like 53, 54. That's the average age of white people right now. You have cities all around America where these white enclaves, where it's a bunch of old white people, all the young white people bounce. They go to, Miami, New York, and they're not in Boise, Idaho. You know what I'm saying? They're not. You go around the country.
I went to Nashville, man. I ain't gonna lie to man. This was a different vibe out there.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Y'all went there, and I'm like, yo, where's the hip hop? They were like, this is our country.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. You got a bunch of old white people, and when they leave, these are gonna be ghost towns. You literally have ghost towns all around the country where towns have had to close down because all the people died off.
So what's your thought on this? And by the way, this was like a super viral clip, which I think people kind of got at him because I think some of the stuff he said, like Dr. Umar Johnson, he doesn't really, it doesn't seem like he doesn't like, you know, the mixing of races, interracial relationships and marriages and stuff like that. Where do you fall on that? And, you know, some people might say, well, there's going to be just racial mixing and we're going to get to an ambiguous place where racism is not a thing anymore. And we have cured all the problems of the world.
Right. Well, people think, I don't want people to think that sexual access to the different races will cure racism, because that's what they promoted in the 60s. If you look at the early blaxploitation movies, they would always have black and white relationships in these movies. They always had these black-white sex scenes because that was a vicarious thing that they were giving to black folks. Like, look, we're equal. We can show you having sex with white women now. And we fell for that trick. Interracial sexual access, we thought that that was some kind of tangible, which it wasn't.
What about breeding?
A lot of times the numbers are kind of controlled. You know, they'll sacrifice a couple of interracial relationships in couples, but not many, because most people aren't doing that. And I don't have a problem with it, because look, just when you get out of bed with the people, still think about black empowerment. Don't be confused when you lay it with a white person, because white people are not confused when they lay it with black people.
Well, let's go off, you know, just a one drop rule and the descendants of those type of relationships or mating or whatever. How do you view someone who's mixed?
In over here,
like, I ain't gonna lie, I know mad mixed people, and they go harder for what's being affected. They claim they're being affected by racism more than the extra dark person.
They are. Yes,
really?
They are. That's absolutely true. You know what?
That.
They are. Yeah. Light-skinned people, especially light-skinned black people who can pass for white.
You think they're being affected more?
Yes, I'm telling you why. Because white people are extra sensitive to them, because they can sneak those black genes in. White people have always been very sensitive of those Negroes who can pass. Oh, they're hell on them, because they can sneak in white society and nobody knows that they're really black, and they sneak them black genes in and nobody knows. They're like, if they see a black person, oh, cool, that's the nigga who stays across the street. He's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We'll bring him over before 6. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I always hear there's a rapper named Logic, and like he's half black and half white.
Yeah.
And there's a couple basketball players that they could pass for like white, like Jason Tatum, and I mean, some people talk about even like the mix, like say Drake or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And I would think anytime I hear Drake talk about like racial like shit, I'm like, bro, like the person who I would think gets it the most is the person who is of darker complexion.
No.
They get the vitriol. They get the
because
hate.
you're thinking like a Caribbean, because over there in Jamaica they have a lot of these.
A lot of
colorism over there, major over there.
You're right.
And the light skinned people are basically the white people of Jamaica. They get certain privileges and benefits over there.
It's mostly based on colorism.
Yeah, we don't have that shit over here. We don't have that. You don't get no benefit.
You don't really get the bleaching over here.
Right? No. Y'all be bleaching the fuck out of your skin over there. Vibes Cartel and all that shit.
Salute to my guy Vibes, man.
Y'all be looking a mess over there sometimes. But I love my Jamaicans. I love you. But I done been to some Jamaican clubs and I saw look like Casper in the face and Akon in the body.
No. Wait. Don't give it to my Jamaicans now. This all Sammy Sosa went crazy. And that nigga from the DR or some shit like that. That nigga,
a lot of that Caribbean stuff.
That nigga just put baby powder on his face. He was running around all crazy. Like, but I mean, we hear and what about like, obviously this is not the majority of the population, but like certain celebrities, like you hear once in a while, be like, oh, Nicki Minaj lightened her skin because she's trying to appeal to white people or people who they'd be like, oh, well, look at Serena Williams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't think it's a thing here a little bit?
Not really. And Serena only did it when she got with that white man. You know what I'm saying? The only time she did, she was fine, and she got with the white man. Now she's walking around here with cake soap. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's not really a big thing over here like that. We don't do that like that over here.
I met her one time. She's amazing.
She's a sweetheart, but we don't. That's not our thing. We're kind of comfortable with who we are as foundational Black Americans.
Okay, so all right. So that's why you're saying all right, but colorism matters a little bit too, because when you think about say modeling or whatever the case, we always hear the conversation, yo, these rappers, and I know I'm just talking about entertainment, that cross section, but be like, oh, they don't put the darker skinned women right? So that's still affecting.
Well, to a certain, but you have to look at a lot of rappers that's out now, man. A lot of rappers are Caribbean. A lot of rappers come from Caribbean backgrounds. If you look at a lot of them are not FBA, man. A lot of these rappers are Caribbean.
Hey, have you ever heard of there's a podcast which I told him, I said, listen, I gave it an advice. Remember Fresh and Fit?
Yeah.
Why you say like no. So I gave him advice. I said, listen. I said, listen, first of all, y'all don't have a race podcast. You have a relationship podcast. I told him to stay away from race. I'm cool with those guys. I filmed with their studio before. And I said to them, I said, because I've had, conversations with them on the phone, kind of like, debating why they might think certain things.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, I feel like I'm a little bit more knowledgeable than you guys when it comes to this.
Yeah.
But even I myself wouldn't begin to fight that plight of what you guys are saying because it is hurtful. Like for them, they're like, well, we clown. Like, for example, I think they said we don't dabble in the dark.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we clown Asian people. We make rice jokes. We've clowned white people and make all type of mayo jokes or whatever. Why can't we clown black people? And I was trying to explain to them. I said, well, you have to realize it's a different type of connotation, and also there's consequences usually that came with some of these either stereotypes or clowning of black people. And coming from a different country, sometimes we ignore that. I'll be honest with that.
But yeah, I'm not gonna get clowned by somebody who came from a third world joint. That dude, what's the Myron guy? That dude is from like Sudan. People are dropping dead of hunger over in his homeland. You're not qualified to say anything about a foundational Black American and your family back home with flies all over the place. And I'm not even trying to disparage, but man, it's not popping over there. You got to fix your homeland before you speak about any foundational Black American over here. That's why people got on his bumper, because we don't like that type of disrespect.
Do you feel like, and I've seen like some criticism of them, they've chalked it up, and by the way, in the same clip, I think they were pretty, people know they do fuck with white women,
Of course.
Do you think that is a Caribbean thing though?
Let's be real. A lot of non-FBA people, not all, but a lot of non-FBA people kind of worship white folks.
You think there's a fetishizing of white
because you live in these countries where it's all black people. All you see are black people. And whenever you see a white person, they're coming in giving you something. Anything positive, you think a white person is bringing it to you. You go to Jamaica, I've been all over. I love Jamaica, but I go to the beach and brothers out there with them white women.
Yeah,
like they're holding on to Jesus, brother.
I'm gonna be honest. So I grew up in the countryside, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. When it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town.
Yes,
it was a big deal.
Yeah,
it's like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa.
Exactly. They worship white, and it's worse in Africa.
So you think it's manifested in a way where, like, and I'm not talking about those brothers disparaging, because I do feel like I fit in the same category with them because I'm an immigrant too. They're immigrants. I think I have some self-awareness, and I could see where even what you're saying, I don't think it's completely bullshit.
Right.
I think. I don't know if it's all black men, but I think even I went through probably a phase of like, oh shit, I want to just fuck some white girls.
Yeah, because again, you're told that white people are God almost. And I know Caribbean parents tell their children, find you a white person, find you a cool white person. They tell their girls, find you a white man. These girls put on their little divestment wigs and go out here and try to find them a white dude. Over here, we don't give a fuck about no white people. We didn't live with white people. We see them living in trailer parks. We know that these are not gods. We see how some of them are.
So then let me advance the conversation, and I'm playing devil's advocate, but I think it would have been a great. Well, I don't know if they're at the race relations debate part that you are at.
Okay,
but I think their message was that they have nothing against black people, but like black women seem to be less compliant, less submissive.
I've heard some of the other stuff. They got problems with foundational Black Americans. Some of those dudes, that one Myron dude just went off on foundational Black Americans, talking about we don't do this, we don't work hard, we ghetto. He just went on a whole thing. So it ain't just about the women. The dude went on and played his whole card, because that's what it's really about. When they try to act like it's about relationships and the quality of women and all black women, dude, the women over in his homeland, because we don't like that.
I mean, Sosa went crazy. And that nigga from the DR.
A lot of that Caribbean stuff.
That nigga just put baby powder on his face. He was running around all crazy. Like, but I mean, we hear, and what about, like, obviously this is not the majority of the population, but like certain celebrities, Like you hear once in a while, be like, "Oh, Nicki Minaj lightened her skin because she's trying to appeal to white people or people who they'd be like, oh, well, look at Serena Williams.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you don't think it's a thing here a little bit?
Not really. And Serena only did it when she got with that white man. You know what I'm saying? The only time she did, she was fine, and she got with the white man. Now she's walking around here with cake soap. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's not really a big thing over here like that. We don't do that like that over here.
I met her one time. She's amazing.
She's a sweetheart, but we don't. That's not our thing. We're kind of comfortable with who we are as foundational Black Americans.
Okay, so all right, so that's why you're saying all right, but colorism matters a little bit too, because when you think about say modeling or whatever the case, we always hear the conversation, yo, these rappers, and I know I'm just talking about entertainment, that cross section, but be like, oh, they don't put the darker skinned women, right? So that's still affecting.
Well, to a certain, but you have to look at a lot of rappers that's out now, man. A lot of rappers are Caribbean. A lot of rappers come from Caribbean backgrounds. If you look at a lot of them are not FBA, man.
That's fact.
A lot of these rappers are Caribbean.
Hey, have you ever heard of there's a podcast?
So he is right about that. He was like, yo, a lot of these rappers right now, they're Caribbean or they're like Latinos. There's blacks, but they're like down south, you know?
Which I told him, I said, listen, I gave him an advice. Remember Fresh and Fit?
Yeah.
Why you say like so I gave him advice. I said, listen, first of all, y'all don't have a race podcast. You have a relationship podcast. I told him to stay away from race. I'm cool with those guys. I've filmed with their studio before. Yeah. And I said to them, because I've had, conversations with them on the phone, kind of like, debating why they might think certain things. Yeah. And I said, listen, I feel like I'm a little bit more knowledgeable than you guys when it comes to this. Yeah. But even I myself wouldn't begin to fight that plight of what you guys are saying, because it is hurtful. Like for them, they're like, well, we clown. Like, for example, I think they said we don't dabble in the dark.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we clown Asian people. We make rice jokes. We've clowned white people and make all type of mayo jokes or whatever. Why can't we clown black people? And I was trying to explain to them. I said, well, you have to realize it's a different type of connotation, and also there's consequences usually that came with some of these either stereotypes or clowning of black people. And coming from a different country, sometimes we ignore that. I'll be honest with that.
But yeah, I'm not gonna get clowned by somebody who came from a third world joint. That dude, what's the Myron guy? That dude is from like Sudan. People are dropping dead of hunger over in his homeland. He's not qualified to say anything about a foundational Black American.
Yo, look at this nigga Tariq Nasheed's face. Yo, just watch it.
Ignore that. I'll be honest with that.
But yeah, I'm not gonna get clowned by somebody who came from a third world joint. That dude, what's the Myron guy? That dude is from like Sudan. People are dropping dead of hunger over in his homeland. You're not qualified to say anything about a foundational Black American.
Like, look at his face. He's so serious about it too, but the shit is bad funny. Like, yo, my nigga, your people's just dying, my nigga, and you over here trying to make nigga jokes.
And your family back home with flies all over the place. And I'm not even trying to disparage, but man, it's not popping over there. You got to fix your homeland before you speak about any foundational Black.
I'm gonna tell you this, yo. Why did it, Myri, go hard on fucking DJ Act? Because nigga laughed. What?
And people are dropping dead of hunger over in his homeland. You're not qualified to say anything about a foundational Black American, and your family back home with flies all over the place. And I'm not even trying to disparage, but man, it's not popping over there. You got to fix your homeland before you speak about any foundational Black American over here. That's why people got on his bumper, because we don't like that type of disrespect.
Do you feel like, and I've seen like some criticism of them. They've chalked it up. And by the way, in the same clip, I think they were pretty. People know they do fuck with white women,
Of course.
Do you think that it's a Caribbean thing though?
Let's be real. A lot of non-FBA people, not all, but a lot of non-FBA people kind of worship white folks.
You think there's a fetishizing of white?
Because you live in these countries where it's all black people. All you see are black people. And whenever you see a white person, they're coming in giving you something. Anything positive, you think a white person is bringing it to you. You go to Jamaica. I've been all over. I love Jamaica, but I go to the beach and brothers out there with them white women.
Yeah.
Like they're holding on to Jesus, brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. So I grew up in the countryside. And I'm gonna keep it real with you. When it was a big deal when you heard a white person was in town.
Yes.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, this white guy. It felt like it was Santa.
Exactly. They worship white, and it's worse in Africa.
So you think it's manifested in a way where, like, you know, and
All right, I'm gonna talk on this one. I personally think it is a race thing when it comes to. I think it is a fetishized thing when it comes to like Caribbeans and Africans. They fetishize white women. Oh, white Jesus is here. Let me kiss your feet. Let me kiss your feet. Ole, 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 ole. Ooh, whoa, 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 whoa. Yo, them niggas start singing and dancing. Hey, wait, oh, wait. Yo, it's crazy, my nigga. I'd never seen no shit like that ever. But yeah, we're Africans. And yo, you know, fucking, oh man, Jamaicans, the Caribbeans, not even just Jamaicans. Let me fix that. Caribbeans, they kind of bad too.
and I'm not talking about those brothers disparagingly, because I do feel like I fit in the same category with them because I'm an immigrant too. They're immigrants. I think I have some self-awareness, and I could see where even what you're saying, I don't think it's completely bullshit.
Right.
I think, I don't know if it's all black men, but I think even I went through probably a phase of like, oh shit, I want to fuck some white girls.
Yeah, because again, you're told that white people are God almost. And I know Caribbean parents tell their children, find you a white person, find you a cool white person. They tell their girls, find you a white man. These girls put on their little divestment wigs and go out here and try to find them a white dude. Over here, these girls put on their little divestment wigs and go out here and try to find them a white dude. Over here,
this nigga's clouding right now. He said those divestment wigs.
here, we don't give a fuck about no white people. We didn't live with white people. We see them living in trailer parks. We know that these are not gods. We see how some of them are.
So then let me advance the conversation, and I'm playing devil's advocate, but I think it would have been a great. Well, I don't know if they're at the race relations debate part that you are at.
Okay,
but I think their message was that they have nothing against black people, but like black women seem to be less compliant, less submissive.
I've heard some of the other stuff. They got problems with foundational Black Americans. Some of those dudes, that one Myron dude just went off on foundational Black Americans, talking about we don't do this, we don't work hard, we ghetto. He just went on a whole thing. So it ain't just about the women. The dude went on and played his whole card, because that's what it's really about. When they try to act like it's about relationships and the quality of women and all Black women, dude, the women over in his homeland are getting raped by these dudes. They're getting female circumcisions and all of this janky stuff. They can't say nothing about a foundational Black American woman that we're going to accept. He's just not qualified.
Oh shit.
Do you think that the relationship between most black men and black women, whether foundational Black American or not, in the Western Hemisphere, in the United States, is different based on just what culture is probably? And I think that's part of their issue. They're like, what's being taught in culture is like, go be a city girl, go fucking make an OnlyFans, keep twerking, blah blah. And they're like, no, we want a woman who would be more, suitable to be a wife, a mother.
They can get the hell out of here with that bullshit, because they got women over there slinging pussy left and right in their homeland. Dude, let's stop playing games, man. It's not like we ain't been over there. We see them on the track out there on the dirt road.
Nigga. Yeah, Myron gotta stop, man. Like, yo, I think personally, I'm gonna be personally honest, I think Myron has PTSD from that ass whooping he took from Tariq Nasheed. I gotta be personally honest. That ass whooping that Tariq Nasheed gave fucking Myron, like, he been crying and bitching and moaning for a rematch for like ever. But I think Myron, I'm gonna be personally honest, I think Myron's going broke. He talk about top G, real shit like that. I'm this, I'm that. But my nigga, you couldn't even put a wager on your debate. You don't have. Myron has to understand, like, yo, if he can beat Tariq this time, he could probably get monetized back. But I think he's done for. He's hurt. He hasn't recovered, man, ever since the beatdown. I'm telling you. He took that beatdown hard, man. And, like, yeah, I laugh about it because I think the shit is funny. But, Myron's hurt. He's super hurt.
Slanging pussy, man. We see
You
it.
mess with that.
Come on, man. We see in the Caribbean.
Whoa,
we see it over there. We
Look,
see it, dude.
my
They
guy
be out there doing
my guy
something.
Fresh is from he's from Barbados.
Yeah, they be doing something strange for a little piece of change. You know
Well,
what I'm
I
saying?
do think with him, I told him this though. I was like, yo, because he admits it. He says, yo, he says he used to be banging a lot of them white girls when he used to chill by the beach.
Yeah.
White girls come on vacation. They want to have some good time, get a little BBC.
Mm-hmm.
It was running through them.
Niggas be jiggling themselves out. I don't want to hear about no relationship. I done been all over there. They be up there with them big fat husky white women and white men. Them niggas be out there slinging bussy too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yes.
No, no, Barbados, man.
Yes.
No, don't put down the Caribbean.
Oh, yes,
Don't
I
be
am.
on that don't put down the Caribbean.
Terry McMillan's husband wasn't the only one.
Nah, don't put
he
it
wasn't
on
the only one now.
Don't put it on the Caribbeans, man. I think.
I don't want to hear about no relationship.
Well,
y'all relationships are janky out there.
Okay, do you think there's a deterioration in culture, black culture?
Well,
what do you think about just culture, family culture? Do you think, obviously you could think about the government's role to a certain extent. At one point, they were taking the black fathers out of the home. Feels like it was a way to strip, black families of having a complete structure that could, lead to better results just historically, right? Do you think that whether it's culture through music, through movies, through other things, for example, welfare, like if and Candace mentioned this, if the father in the home, they're gonna pay you more.
And Candace like talking about that welfare and all of that stuff and the deterioration of the family.
She blamed welfare.
Yeah. But here's the thing, man. We're going back to this in the 1960s. That's when we saw the turn. We saw the turn after 1965. Before 1965, foundational Black American families were together. We were codified. What did we start seeing afterwards? We started seeing a lot of degenerate behavior in Black neighborhoods. Why did it happen overnight? It happened because of, one, a lot of immigrants coming over.
No.
Yes, indeed.
No.
Yes, indeed. We started getting these people. We started getting immigrants coming over to Black neighborhoods that we didn't know they weren't on code with us, and then we started to see crime rates pop up left and right.
You can't blame no immigrants.
I'm putting it on some of y'all, brother. That's when we started seeing
I'm
it.
not saying it can't
We're talking
be
about welfare fraud and all that. They came over dropping off anchor babies because they understood if you had a baby over here, you can get citizenship. So yeah, we start seeing single mothers all over the place, but nobody ever asked where they were from. They were Black. Oh, okay, that's our sister. But a lot of these folks had these little weird accents on the low, especially in New York, man. Come on, let's keep it a buck,
no, come on. Hey, no.
Y'all were bringing that over here.
One thing with this guy, man, he stays on code. No,
yes, hold on. Even in the dope game, man, even our drug dealers weren't that violent, man. Freeway Rick, that's my dude. He wasn't violent. But the shower posse, come on, man, y'all were killing everybody up and down the East Coast, man. We weren't doing that.
Killing been going on for
them niggas was chopping. What's his name? Eric or Christopher Cokes. One of them niggas was chopping niggas up and stuff, man. Yo, killing niggas, yo. Niggas had a problem in Boston. Niggas really had to get guns out here and start like busting these niggas. Like the shower posse, yo, these niggas was on some like savagery. Yeah.
But forever when it came to the
dealers didn't do all, even the trappers didn't do all that stuff, man. Y'all brought a whole bunch of other stuff over here, brother.
Stop.
Yes, I'm putting it on you. Yes.
Hey, this is where we're gonna firmly disagree. No way. No, hold on. I'm not gonna say there weren't, because I think when you think about Hispanics and even like how Miami changed when cocaine. Yeah, there's a lot of that. There's a lot of people
getting all this dope. Where did the dope come from? We didn't manufacture none of it. It was coming from all these other places. These other people immigrating over here.
But we got to be honest. Really, it's I'll say shared. You can't just throw it on us.
Well, there's some things that happened with some of the liberal policies. And
Frank Lucas, all them niggas, they were foundational Black Americans.
But they weren't murdering a bunch of people.
What?
Frank Lucas probably killed a couple of people. They weren't murdering a lot. Nicky Barnes. It was Alpo and them dudes killing folks left and right, man. You know what I'm saying?
Is Alpo FBI, ain't he?
No,
hold on. Don't throw him over here.
No. Was Alpo?
I think he is. I think he has some like Jamaican.
Yeah. It was them dudes over there killing folks left and right.
No, stop it. So you're trying to act like there was some just peaceful mess going on.
No, we had some of our rowdy folks, but a lot of the rowdy
all
stuff,
the gang stuff. Come on now.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
All the gangs. We in California. All the gangs, blood and cripping. We've seen how that shoot. I mean, and I don't want to throw random gangs into it, but
right.
I'll just ask the question: what about the GDs and the BDs?
Right.
Don't that all stem from the FBAs? Come on now.
To be honest, a lot of people out here in LA, a lot of black people are actually Belizean. A lot of folks don't know that. A lot of black people in LA are actually Belizean.
Okay, but
you look at a lot of rappers, they're not really FBA.
Okay. But you're good with history. You're good with history.
Yeah, I know history and sociology and geography.
So let's start tracing the lineage. Remember you said lineage.
Yeah.
Let's start tracing lineage of some of these gangs that, you know, why some of these injunctions now exist here and all these gang laws is because there's a lot of violence previously. And by the way, it's kind of cool, you know, compared to the past, you know. Where'd that come from?
Man, again, I'm telling you, a lot of the violence, look, out there in New York, where y'all from, man.
No. We're talking about Cali.
Yeah, I'm just talking about gangs, because now the gangs out there, you know, the drill rappers, all of them are on FBA.
Hold on, wait, no, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get to that, but wait, we got to admit that in California, this is something that kind of stemmed from FBAs. We cannot.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Okay,
I know some of the OGs. Again,
Okay.
it was something that was supposed to be somewhat progressive. They were trying to stop white supremacist groups. Some of the gangs were forming out here. And then when a lot of the psychotropic drugs were introduced, that kind of changed the game. We got to understand in the 70s, a lot of the OG gang members, a lot of them were whacked out on angel dust and PCP and Sherm sticks and all of that. So the drugs had a lot to do with that too. You know?
And if we're gonna talk about whether it's drill rap or even gangs in New York, I'm giving that to the FBAs as well. Like, look what happened in Chicago.
Drill rappers and most of them are not even FBA. Most of them drill rappers are Caribbean dudes.
Well, I see some of the Spanish kids; they're going crazy now.
Yeah.
I see a lot of them. I'm like, he got a little bit too many curls doing all this drilling.
Yeah. And even a lot of dudes in Chicago. A lot of them come from immigrant backgrounds.
No, they don't.
But look at what happened with Jussie Smollett. Those Nigerian dudes up there trying to pull a twist. You know, there's a lot of immigrant groups.
Jussie Smollett was straight FBA. Look at the fraud he tried to do.
No.
He's kind
of half it. I think his
dad
is white.
He's full.
His dad is white. His dad is white.
No, he's not. Is he?
Yeah, his dad is white. Yeah, they got a white dad.
Caucasian.
Yeah. Jussie's dad is white.
Jussie Smollett.
Yeah. They're him and his sister. You know, his sister, what's her name? She was in that Lovecraft show. Yeah, their dad is
First
white.
of all, and matter of fact, I would spin that on you. I think he took advantage of those black brothers, those guys who I think they were struggling to get their papers or something like that. He got them on some type of scam, got them fucked up.
Well, shit, did they have to help them with a scam? Because a lot of them niggas you come over here looking for a scam. Come on, man. A lot of these cats be trying to get their little scam. I'm gonna be honest.
Hold on. Listen, I'm still sticking on the point. I think immigrant people come over here and sometimes work the hardest. I mean, shoot.
Not really. Because we've already done what you haven't done anything that we.
Nah, they don't. Them niggas, they just don't get caught slacking out. But those are the most laziest niggas of all times. I'm being personally honest. Once they get Americanized, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I know that. And there's not no shot against us. It's a wrap. You know?
Okay.
What are you doing that
Boosie just said, even though the same black people, he said he wanted some Mexicans to build some shit at his crib.
Yeah, but just cheap labor.
Hard workers.
Look at Mexico.
I guarantee if you're repairing your roof, you get some Mexicans.
No, you don't.
Nigga shouldn't have saw at Mexico. He's like, yo, they're hard workers. Watch this.
Okay.
What are you doing that
Boosie just said, even though the same black people, he said he wanted some Mexicans to build some shit at his crib.
Yeah, but just cheap labor.
Hard workers.
Look at Mexico.
I guarantee if you're repairing your roof, you get some Mexicans.
No, you don't.
You're not gonna get some.
No, you want to get a shed done. No, hell no. No
roof. What?
I
They're doing the day.
But the work is going to be shoddy. They're not going to do no quality. They'll throw something up real quick and cheap if you want to get a shed done or a doghouse or whatever. But no real work on your house. No, you ain't going to do that.
Nah.
You know, Boosie just be talking to be talking. And I like Boosie. Shout out to Boosie. Shout out. No. Let me tell you something, man. FBA dudes were the ones really building a lot of these houses. We were building a lot of the plantations. We were not only the builders, but the architects.
Facts.
We had black brothers like Horace King who built many of the bridges and the state houses around the country, who was an enslaved foundation of black Americans. So we were building things. Man, we've always done stuff like that.
What encouraged you to first create Hidden Colors? I think that's just something that's been really a staple for
I'm gonna
people
go grab
who
a
have
water.
kind of like awakened to certain things. Like when I talk to people who are really entrenched in the plight of black people, like they quote that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's almost kind of like a very important piece of work, and not only the original, but of course is derivatives in kind of educating people. Why did you do it?
At the time, I was doing relationship books. I had relationship books out, and I was doing very well with that. They were trying to give me several television shows. I'd done a lot of stuff with MTV, VH1, NBC. So I was really on that wave. But I saw that our image in the media just wasn't good at the time. We started doing Hidden Colors around 2010, but around that time, around 2008, 2009, 2010, there were so many movies coming out that were so negative of our image, like The Help.
Oh, let me turn the air. I don't
Go
know
ahead.
why it's getting hot up in this
Go ahead,
bitch,
go ahead,
right?
go ahead.
It's like, Spotify work with me. If you want water or anything, I'll tell them to go grab it.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah,
wait, keep going, please.
Yeah, so there were movies like The Blind Side that I didn't really like that narrative, The Help, Precious. These are the kind of movies that were showing us. They were horrible movies, horrible representations. And people kept saying, well, we need to get them to do a movie about our real history. I'm like, well, shit, we might as well do it because Hollywood ain't going to do it. So I got the money together. We did Hidden Colors. First, it was going to be just me talking about history. I said, let me do better than that. Let me get a lot of scholars that I like. So I started calling Dr. Welsing, Shahrazad Ali, Brother Kaba, Phil Valentine. We did the movie. We didn't know how it was going to be received because nobody had ever done a movie like that before, where we're just doing a whole bunch of stuff about Black history that's never talked about. Man, we put the movie out and it became a huge hit, man, internationally, and it just took off from there.
Wow, and you guys have done about
five.
Four?
We did five Hidden
Jeez.
Colors. Then we did a movie about Haiti, 1804, the hidden history of Haiti. That was a huge movie. Then what's my last movie? My last movie was Buck Breaking. And that was a big one, talking about the racism of the white LGBT community and the agenda they have against sexual exploitation of Black people. That was a heavy one. You know,
wait, explain that a little bit.
Yeah, man, Buck Breaking. That's in the Caribbean. Speaking of Jamaica, what they would do out there in Jamaica, they would send slaves to Jamaica to be seasoned, and what they would do, they would sodomize a lot of people, slaves in Jamaica, in order to kind of break their spirit. There's a guy named Thomas Thistlewood, who wrote a diary. He was a Jamaican slave owner. He talked about some of the vile things that they would do as far as sodomizing slaves and defecating in the mouths of slaves. Real vile stuff. That's why in Jamaica they hate homosexuality in Jamaica. That's why. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why, that legacy. But they would break slaves by doing this. So it was called buck breaking. You look at the movie Pulp Fiction. Remember there was a scene where they got Ving Rhames down in the basement and these white men raped him. You know what I'm saying? They had a Confederate flag. So that was kind of
I always thought it was unnecessary.
Yeah, but there was a reason why. That was paying homage to the buck breaking process. Get the biggest, blackest, strongest buck and then sexually sodomizing him. That's kind of been a thing in white supremacist culture. Really? Yeah, they would do that on plantations. Even with the lynching thing, there was a homoeroticism with that, where they were sitting up there watching the naked Black man fighting over who's going to get to castrate him and take his genitals. You know?
What the fuck?
Yeah. So we broke that down, man.
Why is the information? Why is accessing that information about history? I feel like it takes someone like you to really, dig up these just historical artifacts about what we really went through, or what slaves really went through. Why isn't this like publicly,
because a lot of Black folks who are in Hollywood, who have access to resources, they usually get their resources from white people in Hollywood, and white people are not going to fund that. We fund these things from the grassroots.
What do you think about like Django?
I actually like Django, just the cinematic version. And it was a fiction movie, but it was kind of cartoonish, and I liked it for the cartoonish ways, and I liked the Samuel Jackson character. I liked the dynamic. I liked it. I actually liked the movie. But it was a fiction movie. I'm doing a movie now about the Black Maroons. There were Black people who lived in swamps all around the U.S., and they were fighting the white supremacists and freeing themselves from slavery. That's like the real Django shit. They were really killing white supremacists.
Black Maroons.
The Maroons, yes. They were called Maroons. There were Maroons in Jamaica too. They got Maroon Town. Nanny of the Maroons. Yeah.
Nanny and the Maroons.
But the Maroons were all over. There were Maroons in South America, the Caribbean. There were Maroons over here. The most famous Maroons were the Black Seminoles.
And explain this to me, right? So when we learn history in Jamaica in school, it's definitely heavy with, we're going to teach you about all the slave revolts, the people you see on the money. That's what I've always thought about. Like, sometimes it's like the mentality as well. Like to this day in the United States, you're seeing the fucking people who pretty much help oppress you on your money.
Right.
While in Jamaica, through the education, they're kind of teaching you about how how you fought this really horrible thing, which was slavery and oppression.
Mhm.
Do you think that, like, the trickle down effect of the mentality from how kids are taught affects them later in how they view not only themselves but just views the dichotomy between, you know, um, black people and white people?
Well, if you look at the Caribbean now,
Like, I'm gonna be honest. If I was taught all that, and there was and there was white people that went to my school, I would probably really dislike them. If I would be like, so this is teaching me that your ancestor did this to us. But we're majority black there, right?
Right.
But here, still African Americans aren't the majority, and also I feel like there's just constant symbols of oppression of what was done to you, just
which is good to let us.
good?
Yeah, it's good so we don't go to sleep. You understand? We need to understand that. We need to understand that there's an oppressive force out there that we need to constantly combat until we eradicate it.
But I think there's also a conservative campaign to say let's not educate them about, because let's not rile them up.
Right.
Because
that's what that whole critical race theory stuff is about.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about what we did to these people.
Yeah. Or let's not even acknowledge it.
Right. That shows how bad it is if you have to have a law to not talk about what you did.
And this touches on very tricky waters, because when it comes to talk about the Jews, the Holocaust, they go hard for that.
Right, of course.
Not playing around. But they have protected, when it comes to at least the Holocaust, they've pretty much made all the conversation around it really monitored and protected, that their history is never forgotten,
right?
That their people are never not celebrated, and that it would be, I would say, impossible for history to ever even approach the direction that could ever happen.
Right.
Which means if you criticize Jews to pretty much any extent, you could be someone who they say cancel, or they could get rid of you. You know what I mean?
And they look
out, they're anti-Semitic, right?
And they look out for their history, and they
definitely hold each other down.
They hold each other down.
Do you think that's on code for them?
That is 100% on code. They're not depending on somebody else to give them resources to talk about and preserve their history, which is what we should be doing. So we don't have to worry about them talking about critical race theory. That's why we fund our movies independently. So we're not going to wait on a school or some school board to allocate a budget to us so that we can teach our children who they are and what they need to do to empower themselves. But we do that on.
But being on code, though, and I think that this is where, like, when it comes to Jews, is like, for example, if you say something that's anti-Semitic, they're gonna be on code all the way to the guy who runs all the movie studios who's Jewish. He's not fucking with you. Right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you could say if you're a white person, right, and you say something anti-black, you could get somebody up at the top to be like, "No, I know this guy from forever. He's good. He didn't mean it."
Right.
Take Justin Bieber, something like that. Right? You know what I mean? Like, again, if that was an anti-Semitic, song he was singing, I don't think no one's standing with him.
Yeah, he would have been out of here. Oh yeah.
How do you then get the people up at the top? Like, because we celebrate. Oh, there's Diddy, who's worth billions. There's Dr. Dre. There's these other people. There's so many people who Jay-Z, who is worth. But then we also see Jay-Z when we're saying that there's a anti-black effort that the NFL is putting forth with certain things. We see Jay-Z then come in and say, "Yeah, stop all that kneeling. We moving forward."
Right, and we were very critical of Jay-Z doing that too. I was one of the people, and I love Jay-Z. I
think people get split on that. I think people are, well, no, we love Jay-Z though.
Yeah. I like Jay-Z, but they were kind of making him the Negro whisperer to a certain degree. Like, hey, let's get over it. Let's move on. No, we don't want to move on because we need to produce justice. What they did to Colin was real raggedy, and Colin, that's my guy, and they didn't make right on that. They're trying to make right on it now, which is good. But yeah, that was kind of raggedy with what they were doing with Colin and trying to get black people to say, hey, look over here, look over. We're going to do some black stuff, so don't worry about what we're doing to this football player by blacklisting him. No, that's not going to make it right. Jay-Z, that doesn't make that right.
the term which I always like laugh at it just because it sounds hilarious. Bedwench.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Explain it.
Yeah.
By the way, you know one of the great reasons why I think I think you do a really good job at everything you do.
Yeah.
But these are serious topics.
Yeah.
And these are things that have serious ramifications. But when you do deliver it, you deliver it with, I've always said, like, Charlamagne told me one time, he's like, let me tell you this. You have to learn to put the medicine in the candy. Like, nobody wants to hear a fucking speech that's just boring, like you're reading off the paper.
Yeah.
So you almost kind of have to make it entertaining in a sense.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when I listen to you, you're fucking entertaining.
Yeah.
Like, you're definitely entertaining. And then I leave away from the conversation saying, that's why even with the FBA thing, I'm like, well, maybe he has a point, but I'm like, no, I think he goes a little too far. We should
now, how do you think I go far? Now, and what areas do you think I go
far? No. Only with the FBA thing where I feel like you have just kicked us off the boat. It's like the Titanic rafts is going on, and it's supposed to be the raft that save all black people, and then you over here checking birth certificates in 23 and me shit.
Y'all kick yourselves off the boat because the minute y'all do something constructive, y'all ain't black no more. You just make it American.
Never said that.
Oh man, look, if y'all do something, man, if y'all win a race or get a PhD, shout out to Jamaica, Jamaican flags all over the place.
So am I wrong for being happy that Shelley and Fraser is dusting Sha'Carri Richardson?
Okay. Keep that same energy when there's a Jamaican crackhead that done stabbed somebody in New York and he ain't one of us. So take him with you. Take him over there with you. That's what it would take. That nigga with you. Take some Bammy bread over there to his ass too.
No, but seriously though, no. Like, I feel like you're kicking us out the movement.
No, I mean no,
because we get affected too. If you get pulled over, I get pulled over. Same thing.
No. But we get treated the same. But we look at white supremacy a little bit different. A lot of y'all come over here and you look at a little white supremacy. They might abuse me, but hell, I'm not back home over there starving. I'm over here, so I'm coming up.
We're more solution based.
Yeah,
we're like, listen, we could sit here and argue and march and protest, or we're gonna say, listen, you're here. Fucking deal with it. Again, we're not saying don't change it.
That's not solution based. That's just going along and saying, okay, hey, you can abuse me and I'm cool with it. I'll play the role and I won't say nothing. Just don't treat me like you treat them niggas over there.
Well, we're not just gonna be in limbo. I feel like sometimes we're, like a lot of people who are. A lot of times I feel like even when for some of the Black Lives Matter stuff, I see some niggas all they do is fucking march and protest, and I'm like, I feel like you're just doing that, signaling to the white people to help you. It's like you don't want to help yourself. So something like think about. So really, if you're hoping that the people oppressing you is about to turn back around and say, "Man, this guy been marching for goddamn 10 years. Let's finally give him his rights." Well, I think there's some people who just come over here and be like, "Yo, you give us the rules, we'll fucking figure out a way around it."
And there's some good. There's some good out of marching. There's some good. Some of the people, again, sometimes they have controlled opposition out there, but there's some good to marching because what happens is when people are out there marching, that brings a lot of cameras out there. But when they're marching, a lot of us on the grassroots, we're contacting some of these police chiefs and these prosecutors, letting them know behind the scenes, hey, you better do something about this person, or we're going to make sure your name is attached to this racialized situation. Okay. So a lot of us are doing stuff behind closed doors, and they don't want no bad publicity. Let's be very clear. I've gotten a lot of people out of jail because a lot of these police chiefs, they don't want the bad. Yes, a lot of folks. Yes. And the police chiefs, they don't want no bad publicity. They don't want that.
You're a man of action, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see, you're a man of action.
Yes.
And I don't think that's everyone. I think there are people who, I think there are divisive people who operate under the veil of, oh, we're here for Black progress, but their business is in dissension to say, hey, as long as this is going on, we're making money, but we're not really. We're saying that we hope for change, but we really like our business is based on if there is no change.
And what's interesting, unfortunately, when we start talking about reparations and stuff like that, they will go find, the white supremacists will go find a non-FBA person to sit down on a reparations task force and talk about what we shouldn't get. When we start talking about reparations, all of a sudden they say, okay, we're going to form a committee. And then the committee has a bunch of Caribbeans and Africans talking about, well, we don't really need reparations. These white folks ain't no bad. They ain't bad. Like, whoa, who are you? So we have people who come in who are not of our lineage who try to undermine us. That's why we're doing the delineating right now.
What's the next step after reparations?
Really building up our economy, and really helping a lot of Black people who have been economically deprived. We, especially out here in LA, we got so many homeless Black people out here and all over the country. So reparations, that's going to be a start to repair the damage that has been done. That's going to help a lot. Just us getting the resources we need.
Okay. Um, Still, I think the question is still going to linger. How do you escape the white supremacy? Like, or do you build under it?
Well,
Knowing
we
that
have to
it'll
replace
affect
we
it.
have to replace the system of white supremacy with justice. We got to replace that whole system. All right, that's very important.
How do you replace it?
Well, number one, you start calling it out when you see it, because that's half the battle. Because a lot of times we have white supremacy dominating us and we don't want to acknowledge it. We got this ego thing. Well, I'm not oppressed. I'm not dominated. I can do what I want to do. And then they come and kick the wheels from under you. So we have to acknowledge what the problem is and not just be satisfied with a little oppression. You know what I'm saying?
Well, wouldn't the greatest, or the, well, not greatest, but like the better hidden white supremacists, or white supremacists, like they would be, you wouldn't be able to identify them.
Right.
Like if I'm a white supremacist,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to support Black Lives Matter as long as I can
Yeah.
control it.
Of course.
So how do you uproot them? Because they're and people, and I think you even said about Trump, is like, at least you know what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you uproot?
If everyone got reparations, Tariq Nasheed, that's not true. And not everybody's gonna get reparations, because not everyone don't. America doesn't owe a debt to everyone. America owes a debt to a foundational Black American towards Black Americans. No, I got what you were saying. Sorry, you're right. You just fixed the FBA homelessness. Yeah, because there's not that many Black Americans that's like they're homeless, but it'll stop a lot of problems that we have now. You know, it has been given to us. You know, like we have these problems is because of white supremacy. Like the difference between us and most people is that we're not gonna run from our country and go where I'm gonna be better. No, we're gonna fight, because at the end of the day, don't forget, we have family here. We can't run anywhere, because once we run, our family is still going through the same thing. So it beats the whole purpose of us, fleeing.
A group of people that they might even act like they're in support, but really they're just trying to say, hey, go after them motherfuckers over here. I'm on your team.
Mm-hmm.
How do you?
Well, the white supremacists, they're very good at playing both sides of the field. All right, they're very good at playing both sides. For example, you have a lot of white folks who go to these protests and they'll be out there, Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Oh yes, George Floyd, and they'll be the first people on a jury acquitting a cop for killing a Black person.
You think so?
Oh, I know so. They do that all the time.
I know this one white girl. I remember her telling me how she was bawling the day I forgot who got acquitted for killing some Black person. And the only thing I knew of her is like she does love fucking Black dudes. But I'm like,
did you smash that? Did you smash?
I did.
There you go. Yeah. I know. Come on, brother. Come on, bro. I knew there was a baby coon in there somewhere.
No, no. Hold on.
I knew it was a baby coon.
No.
I won't put the coon.
No. Hold on.
You never know where you're gonna find love.
Wait.
Or it might have been a coon spirit.
Wait, you deal with women, white women at times.
Right.
I've dealt with all races.
There you go.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. I've been one. I was an international player. I prefer the sisters, but
Okay, so wait, hold on.
What do you prefer?
What I prefer.
It's not racism that reparation is for. Reparation is for a debt that they owe Black Americans. It's not because of racism. Because if not, Kwame, you could claim reparations. It's a debt that they owe to Black Americans for taking 90% of their wealth. And land.
I'm
Keep it a buck.
I'm gonna keep it 100 with you.
Yeah.
I don't even think I'd say the last 4 just by race, right? That I've dated, right? When I just kind of got a little popular back in like 2012, I did for 4 years.
Yeah.
She was half Black and half white.
Okay.
Okay. After that, I dated a Hispanic girl for about 3-4 years. And before those two, I dated just straight. She was a straight black.
Okay.
Right. So black.
Was she from the Caribbean?
No.
Oh, she
No.
from here?
Yeah.
FBA?
She wasn't with none of that Caribbean shit, man. So she was so black, mixed, black mixed, Hispanic, and now mixed again.
Okay, you got a mixed one now.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that cool then, right?
Yeah, that's cool. My wife is mixed. She's black.
Okay, all right. So wait, you attack what's homie's name? Tommy.
Oh.
You call him cool a lot. Yeah. Why? I think he says one of the things he preaches. I think we all have our ways. Yeah. Where you might disagree. You might see a clip of him like, nah, I don't agree with what the fuck I do right there, and probably like vice versa.
So Kwame, I hope that answers your question. Reparation is for adept, not racism. People get it mixed up when they think reparation is for racism, but it's really adept. It's white supremacy is telling you that oh yeah, they're trying to get money and they complain over racism. No, it's over adept that they owe our ancestors.
First, and also even with Tommy does his thing, but I definitely think what he says about preaching about a fatherless America, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Why do you guys get into it?
That's a beef for like a decade ago. That was, and that was more of a comedy type. Well, I kind of pulled.
Oh yeah, no, you're hilarious.
But I kind of.
Why did you pull out a fucking sock puppet?
Yeah, that's kind of. I like to roast people with puppets because you can't come back from getting roast with a puppet. You can't come back from that because you're trying to rebut.
You ambushed him at Vlad, didn't you?
Yeah, I had to pull up. I pulled up.
Why?
Yeah, because he, then he, was kind of making threats about what he was going to do to me and all that. I'm like, you got to come see me if you're going to do all that. And I gave him an opportunity to do it, and he didn't do it, and we kept it pushing.
Have you guys resolved it, or is just
But I don't have a problem. I mean, he is what he's an internet guy. He, says stuff on the internet, and more power to him.
What did you ever think of Kevin Samuels?
I like Kevin Samuels.
Really?
I like Kevin Samuels. Yes, I did.
So you don't believe that he was kind of like down in sisters?
No. I think Kevin was, doing a lot of tough love stuff, and he said some real stuff, and a lot of women respected it because a lot of women would tune in. Yeah, I rock with Kevin. I respected what that brother was doing, and that was a very tragic loss for that brother. Yeah.
What do you think about, say, like T.I.? I think T.I. is kind of dabbled in, I don't want to say T.I. is a woke brother, but I think T.I. cares about the community.
I think he does too. I like T.I., man. I got a lot of love and respect for T.I. He seemed like a real genuine dude, real thorough guy. And I think he does have a lot of passion for the community. And he does a lot of things for the community, does a lot of things for Atlanta. So, yeah, he's a thorough FBA brother.
Who, or you don't have to necessarily name a person, but since, we all are in a position of, having a spotlight on us where we have influence, and you talk about remaining on code, what are things that you believe an individual with some notoriety or a platform, whatever, would be doing that you would believe that isn't on code?
Well, doing things that is going to undermine Black society for your own personal gain. That's the main thing that you would do that's not on code. And unfortunately, you have a lot of people in Hollywood who do stuff like that. And I get it to a certain degree because in Hollywood, if they paying you, you got to go along with the program. You got to say whatever they want you to say.
A Black actor wearing a dress. Do you think that's
very much off code? Very much off code because that's a ritualistic thing at this point. It's gotten so bad now. If you have a Black television show, it's required that it's really an LGBT program at this point. They've gone beyond dresses, and it's just a complete LGBT program. All the love and hip hop type of shows, these are LGBT shows.
Yeah,
he's right about that, man. And don't forget, Mona Scott is I think Haitian. Like, she demigrates Black America. Actually, just the Black diaspora. Period. She'll do anything for a buck. So I could see that.
I'm watching. They got like some thing called like Zeus, and I'm watching this thing, and it's like it's just. It's
LGBT dudes fight.
Do you feel like there's a propaganda? Like,
yeah, man. Look, the white numbers are dwindling right now. So what they have to promote to black people, because they got to keep our numbers down. That's what the abortion clinics were about anyway. They were formed by Margaret Sanger and the Eugenics Society to keep our numbers down.
Kanye said that.
Yeah. It's 100% true. It was designed specifically to keep our numbers down. And non-procreative sex is always promoted to us. You notice that? They're always telling us, why don't you guys be trans? Why don't you guys be lesbian? Why don't you guys be LGBT? Long as you don't procreate, long as you don't create more black babies. And they promote that heavily to us. They're not doing it because they like us. We need a whole bunch of other stuff. We need money for schools. We need money for housing. We need medical care. They don't give us none of that, but they'll pour millions of dollars into telling us to wear dresses and lay it with other same-sex people.
Do you then fall under the, I would guess, rule that I feel like is now like kind of being put on to everyone, where like, hey, you got to call Caitlyn Jenner, particular pronoun, or D-Wade's son. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, look. Yeah,
Yeah, homie already got a movie out. That dude Dominic or something plays him. Yeah, there's always some type of agenda with Hollywood. That's why they're going through what they're going through, because people are protesting, so.
really don't try to play the alphabet game with folks, because I can't walk on eggshells with people and play pretend. If I see a dude, that's a dude. I'm not gonna call a dude looking like Bing Rames in a wig, ma'am. I got to call it for what it is. And what's interesting, you know how they're getting on our brother Dave Chappelle about that stuff.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Shout out to Dave. Dave that's on code.
But
Dave
by the way, so what do you think about corporations? Because I think one of the reasons why, like, everyone's, especially after the Me Too stuff, and also like with people getting canceled for saying certain stuff, people it's not like their views are changing much, but they're like, you know what, I'm gonna shut the fuck up because I don't want to lose the job.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna lose the back.
And that's why I like Dave. Dave is independent. Dave can go sell out a venue 2 and 3 nights over.
I was surprised Netflix stood with him a little bit.
Hey, Netflix likes money. You know what I'm saying? All that money, they can't turn all that money down. Dave is big money, and he don't need them. They need Dave more than they need him.
What Candace says, and I wonder if you agree. She said, "Hey, listen, it's because the trans communities is a little bit separated from the LGBT community or the LGB community, where they ain't gonna go to war for just the trans issues. So we're realizing there's some small victories in terms of people who might have comments about the trans community, but if it was about lesbian and gays, it's a dub. It's over."
And let me tell you something about that whole trans thing. You keep seeing the word trans being put out there, because they're trying to get into some.
Monoscot is nowhere near the level of influence. Hey, you wrote Monoscot twice. Hold on. Monoscot is nowhere near their level or influence. Mona Scott does reality TV. She does like all that shit on VH1. Motherfuckers bugging out and fighting and shit and all that other like coon shit. That's why niggas be having all those crazy veneers and BBLs was because of Mona Scott.
Thing in the near future called transhumanism. We talked about that in the
What?
bug breaking movie. Yeah. They get the word trans out there and normalize the word transgender, then transracial, transsexual. They just keep saying the word trans. We keep seeing it and hearing it all over the place. A lot of these people, Epstein, a lot of these other billionaires, they were into something called transhumanism, meaning they want to start meshing machines with the human body so that machines.
No way.
Yeah. Look this up. This is another extension of the eugenics movement.
I feel like Elon must be on that shit a little bit.
Yeah, he does.
Like, he's trying to put some shit in niggas' heads.
Yeah.
Like, you got like some shit you want to put in your brain. Like, what's going on?
Transhumanism. That's transhumanism.
Why do you think the billionaires kind of like? I feel like, I always hate when people think there's like secret societies and this and third.
Yeah.
However, like, I do feel like the billionaires. I feel like Elon Musk, he knows how to galvanize people, but he does a great job of acting like he's for a regular person. Like, I'm trying to get y'all rich like me. Come on,
man. When you get a lot of money, when you get into the billions of dollars, man, it becomes a power play to be able to control the masses. Think about that.
I think
man.
that's why the Twitter move for him would have been interesting.
Yeah. Just think about it, man. You got billions of dollars, man. Why not? I can control 1 billion people. I can put stuff in people's brains. I can make people take a shot. You understand? I can make people buy my new medicine that I came up with so I can make another $1 trillion. You can just manipulate whole societies and countries sitting at home like some evil doctor type of thing. That's real, man. A lot of folks get a lot of money and power and get very corrupted, and it's an ego thing to control the masses of society simply because they can do it. You understand?
What do you think about what about like the black people who are becoming billionaires? Because I ain't gonna lie, ever since they started throwing around that word billionaire with like Jay-Z,
Yeah.
Jay-Z been hanging out with Jack Dorsey and them dudes. Like
Mhm.
it's been a little bit different with his circle.
Yeah. Black billionaires are a little bit different because they keep you on a short leash. You understand? You can't go too out the window with your billions. They keep you real close because they don't want you making no real power moves and powering too many other black people. They can take your money away. Just look at Oprah. Oprah has a so-called $1 billion, but they got Oprah's ass on a leash. Oprah can't go all the way out there like that.
What about Tyler Perry?
And I love that brother, but Tyler, they can.
He has an opportunity with like everything he's doing in Atlanta with film. Like
Yeah.
shit, he could make he could fragment the industry to some degree.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's really fuck billions, hundreds of billions, if not trillions, and he's working with just a few. But he has an opportunity. How do you think, him being a brother
Mhm.
might disrupt the sequence of white supremacy then?
Well, Tyler has helped out a lot of black folks. I give him that. I know when they were doing the Coming to America movie, he let them shoot it down there, and a lot of big productions. He let them shoot a lot of big black productions down there. So we'll see how Tyler Perry is gonna do with that. I like what he's been doing so far. They'll let him cook for a minute. That's not even to
Yeah.
brother.
Oh man, but are you cool with Dr. Umar? Like he goes viral all the time.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, we haven't talked. We still do our little jabs here and there. But I want that brother to do good. I want.
he's
his
building
school.
a school, right?
Yeah. He has a school out there, and I donated to his school a long
Really?
time ago. Yeah. I want his school to thrive. He goes. He kind of beats with people and goes through things, and I had to put a puppet on him and make a.
No way, really?
Yeah. I had a puppet on him too. So,
I'm not gonna lie, you're very like I can see why a motherfucker might start threatening you because I watch one. I'm like, this guy is hilarious.
But yeah, I got love for that brother, man. I want to see him thrive, and I want him to be all right.
Have you ever thought about politics?
I have, but if I got into politics, these people would shoot me the day I got elected. They would take me out.
Really?
I'm banned from the UK. I can't even go to the UK.
Why?
They banned me. I did a movie, Hidden Colors 5.
You got felonies or something?
No, I don't. No, it's not because of no crime. They just told me that my presence was not conducive to the good of society over there. That's the official answer.
By the way, ain't that a thing where like I think other countries, they protect their way of life. Like, like especially like when you think about even places like North Korea, they'll tell like, hey, all that bullshit y'all got going on, like shit. They told some like app like, hey, if y'all gonna be on that, y'all can't be in our country where our people can see. Fuck that.
Yeah, it ain't just censoring. They're like, you just can't come here because I got a big audience over there.
Yeah.
And when I go over there, I do lectures and it's like packed. They're like, oh no.
Yeah. There's gonna be a few things that I'm gonna be blocked from sooner or later. I'm already prepared for it, so it's just you better prepare now than if you're gonna get in this game. You got prepared that a lot of motherfuckers ain't gonna want to fuck with you, but it's just a part of the game, as I said.
No, you over here talking about white supremacy. Just stay your ass over there.
Well, yeah, you probably said something about the Queen.
No, I didn't even talk about the Queen. When I go over there, the media gives me a lot of access over there. The media is pretty liberal, whereas the political structure is pretty conservative. Just like here, we have a somewhat conservative political structure, but the media is somewhat liberal. So when I go over there, they put me on TV and they let me go in. I talk about white supremacy and go all the way in. I'm on the BBC, Russia Today, and all of those media outlets, and they were like, no.
I've seen you on like like going down some of the rabbit hole of some of the videos you've done that are like pretty legendary. They used to invite you on like CNN and Fox News at times, right?
I still go on there every now and then.
Yeah. How's that? Like how's that reception?
That's funny because when I go in on them too much, they'll just cut me off. They literally cut my mic off.
Really?
If I'm going in on them, I'm talking, and right in the middle of me talking, there's a commercial on. What the fuck is that? Then in my earphone, they're like, "Okay, Tariq, you have a good day." The door's to the left. Damn. They literally kick me out of there. They do it all the time. That's why I'm like, all right.
Wait, so you're no, but that's censorship in a sense. Like,
Yeah, but Fox and News, those places, man.
no,
those
but
are
whether you
propaganda
can't go,
mills.
whether you can't go to the UK, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they probably do some weird stuff on YouTube, like, hey, you know, let's kind of limit the reach or whatever. You know, they're gonna do play these games.
Yeah.
But even those platforms, why do you think they're that scared of what you're saying? Do they feel like you are an extremist?
Well, when we talk about what's really the problem, which is systematic white supremacy, let me tell you something. They don't ban you for lying, all right? Because a lie, they can disprove a lie easily.
Yeah.
They only ban you or censor you when you're telling the truth. You understand? So when you're telling the truth and it's becoming somewhat detrimental to the evil status quo, they'll shut that down. They got the power to shut it down. So that's why you have to learn how to code your language a little bit.
That's crazy that they just cut your mic. Yeah, I've seen one of them where I think you were like spitting and all of a sudden it was just like Tariq, and then just switched the camera.
Yeah, they do that all the time with me, man. On Fox, they're very good at doing that and literally kick me out. So
Jeez.
I'm like, man, I'm cool on this. That's why I like to do my own movies so I can say what I need to say and put it on out there.
Do other black outlets, like, you know, they invite you though, because I could imagine if, for example, like say iHeart or like MS Communication, it's owned by white people.
He's white people, you know.
You know what I mean? So
what black outlets are there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Think about that.
Ain't no, but what I mean, like, say whether it's like the Breakfast Club or say like, you know, Hot 97 Orange, they might be like, well, if
what did he tell the truth on? Like, he always told the truth. He backed it up with facts. It's like, yeah, Jamaica y'all niggas do be peeing in the streets in Jamaica. You know, y'all do be selling drugs through the jungles and shit. You know? It's for safety, and I understand it. You know, y'all ain't got no toilets, but, you know, it is what it is.
If we put them on, we're going to get in trouble with the bosses.
Well, they've had me on there. I've been on Breakfast Club a few times, and I'm cool with Ebro. I've been on Hot 97 a few times. So I still do those every now and then. Yeah. But there are no really black outlets. Like, but BET, that's not a black outlet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, ain't no black outlets. What we're doing, we're the black outlets. Us on the grassroots.
Yeah.
That's the black media right now.
Who, other than you, if people, like, you know, say, and whether it's FBAs or non-FBAs, if they wanted to, you know, kind of.
Nah, they got Kanye. Kanye's doing some type of fucking drugs that he don't need to be doing. Ain't nobody trying to fuck with Kanye. Like, yo, Kanye, what the fuck are you on? Doing shit on Hitler and stuff like that. Like, I get the Hitler shit. But you're adding black people on into that situation. You know, and you're making our situation fucking worse. I see FBA peeing on this corner every day. No, those are Caribbeans. You live in New York, my man. Those are Caribbeans and Africans. You know, it's just it is what it is, Kwame. Those are Caribbeans. Those niggas got accents.
Hear more of what people like you are kind of saying. Like, who else is kind of like preaching the same message, or are you kind of just unique in that type of sense?
You have me. You have other people on YouTube. You got a brother called the Black Authority. He's real thorough. You have a brother called Professor Black Truth, who's very good. There's a sister named Vicky Dillard that's real good. So there's some of us out there on YouTube and in that atmosphere that's really giving a lot of good information like that.
Okay, yeah, I definitely suggest that people check you out. I think you give compelling arguments that even if they don't agree on surface, like it could challenge their thought. Right, like to me, why it's important for me to have you here is that we can have the conversation. And shit, even if someone sits through this whole thing and says, "Man, you sound like a fucking idiot," at least we've tried to challenge your mind, right? And you can walk away from this saying, "I feel a little bit more enlightened." I think that's the point. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I try to do with even Candace too. You know, even though I think she's kind of more opposite of what you do.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
And I think the perfect synergies, you got to sit down with people like her. You got to do it because she is a influence. Like, I got a lot of comments of people saying, "Man, this is a real black woman who's really speaking the truth. That's
Oh,
all
these are
black
white people. Yeah.
Nah, so I'm telling you.
Or some non-FBA people.
Tariq, what you got coming up, man?
Man.
You say you're working another movie, but
Yes.
what should we look out for you? Tell us the platforms.
All right, so I'm gonna say this was a great This was a great interview 2 years ago by Akademiks. I actually like this by Akademiks. I think Akademiks did a great fucking job. Who's LA have no crazy? No, they do. He just told you that they have immigrants. You know. No, they got immigrants. They got Mexicans. They got I heard they got a few Puerto Ricans there now. They have Cincinnati. Don't forget they were eating the dogs and cats in Cincinnati. St. Louis is all black. Cincinnati's on P in the street. Come on. Ohio, Caribbean. Baltimore, it's black, but it's not always the full black diaspora. So, but there's mostly black people there, though. They're there in DC. It's just Kwame. It's all right. Y'all niggas be pooping and shitting in the streets. Y'all haven't discovered toilets yet, so you know. Yeah, y'all haven't discovered toilets yet, so it's not. I don't really fully blame all of y'all. It's just, yo, they didn't. Y'all gotta talk to y'all countries about building toilets and shit and showers. You know, y'all don't gotta be washing y'all pussy in no snake water and shit like that. It's just, yo. This is why I say, yo, y'all should have been fucking with Black Americans. Black Americans could have built y'all a toilet or a shower. You know, but it happens, man. I'm gonna land here and I'm gonna say this. This was a great interview. Tariq Nasheed did a good job, and Akademiks, he did a great fucking job. I'm gonna say this is a 10 out of 10. From Ak, just his hosting skills. Other hosting skills, I seen them. It was like 50-50. It's like a hit and miss, but this is a 10 out of 10, where he tried to challenge Tariq Nasheed. Even though it's just Tariq Nasheed is a seasoned vet. He's a seasoned vet, but it just sometimes motherfuckers just don't know. Like I said right now, like this shit, let me tell you something. This shit, how Tariq Nasheed felt about Myron Gaines, he been saying this shit for like 3 or 4 years. This shit hasn't changed, and Myron should have been ready. But I don't think Myron Gaines is the great debater that he think he is. Let him go against a fucking Hebrew Israelite. Oh, he's going to get destroyed. He'll be all a Hammonite and everything, but like it is what it is. Salute to Akademiks. Salute to King Flex himself. Thank you for this interview. Thank you for all of y'all. Thank y'all for watching this interview. This was a great interview. I might do another reaction video tonight, and I'm gonna do another show. I'm gonna do a show early in the morning tomorrow. But again, have a great day, and I'll see